Morning, guys. Got the perfect Stranger theme song going. Bill's yawning back from Pinehurst.
Uh, Live stream.
Not sure if you need the extra motivation on a Monday morning, but I like that Perfect Strangers is there for us. After a busy weekend at Pinehurst, it's there for Bill as motivation upon his return. Nothing's going to stop you now.
I will admit I probably would be dragging a little bit more than I would have been. It's a long weekend, a lot of fun, man, a lot of fun. I'm not trying to put down the weekend, but I was dragging a little bit. But then I heard the update, the sports update at the top of the hour. Jen, did you hear the sports update? Were you paying attention?
Not
It is
everyone
great.
wait for the 6 a.m. sports update to find out who won the NASCAR race over the weekend.
Well, I mean, again, when I make my pick, I know who's going to win. It's like I have a crystal ball sitting right here in front of me, and so I don't. I
You
don't.
just muted him. Nice job. Nice job. The old mute button is already out this morning. Hope your Monday is off to a better start than Jen's. Let's put it that way. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen, all with you. The weekend saw not epic baseball necessarily from the NCAA standpoint, but a bunch of teams have already punched their tickets to the College World Series. I think it's 6 out of the 8. More than 14,000 on hand at Mississippi State, setting a super regional record, and they're going to have a Game 3 today with Notre Dame. Tennessee, that LSU series was pretty wild, and who would have thought exactly what Chris is saying on the Facebook live stream, that after a 21-2 blowout in game number 1 where Arkansas beat NC State comes back and knocks off the number 1 seed, and the trend continues in college baseball. 1999, the last time the number 1 overall seed was Miami, then went on to win the national championship. So we're now on 22 straight years, I think, of that not happening in college baseball. What else stuck out to you on the week, Bill? I know it was a busy weekend on the golf course for you. Let's see what Patrick had going this weekend.
It was no sports for me this weekend. It was all about
all business.
Yeah, all business. Girlfriend's birthday was this weekend, so a lot of cooking on Saturday and just bouncing around all day yesterday. It was fun though.
How did it turn out? What'd you end up going with? You gave us a few options about cooking, and then how did it go?
I made got some tomahawk pork chops. Those were complicated to make. I need a grill. There's limited amounts of things I can make without a grill, so I had to try and kind of sear them on the stovetop and then cook them in the oven. It went okay, but it took a couple tries. I had to put them back in a couple times, and then some shrimp and just like roasted some vegetables. So that was good. And then yesterday did not eat very much. Just kind of, it was one of those kind of forgot to eat situations. That day was wearing on.
Impressive. And Bill, Pinehurst live up to your expectation. I know you've been there before, but you got to go again. I saw you met our listener Teddy D, and his son ended up winning an event down there. I think we're going to hear more about that in a little bit. But what'd you think of the trip?
Yeah, well, one, just on that, the microwave bacon conversation apparently is just taking over the Southeast, because that's how Teddy D, the actual Teddy D, not the son Teddy D, introduced himself. Is that they were just up there hanging out, microwaving some bacon, playing a little bit of golf. So it's good to know that we've impacted society with the bacon conversation. But yeah, blast, always a really good time, and ended up being really good weather, and got back yesterday afternoon. Didn't get to watch as much. Watched in between rounds. Watched some of the baseball. Watched a little bit of Mississippi and Arizona on I think it was Friday night, and took some of that in. Did not get to watch yesterday, Patrick, the Islanders and the Lightning, but the Islanders go into Tampa and win Game 1, and they win it 2-1. I think that's going to be an incredible series.
Yeah,
and a
they're
lot
starting
of
to feel
fun.
like a team of destiny right now.
They are, and so that was really cool. So didn't get to watch it, but I'll get back into it this weekend. Shane Beamer had had a big weekend of official visitors. They picked up one commitment that we are now aware of, Javonte McClendon, a safety, 6'2", 180 pounds, and we got a second commitment that Hale McGranahan of BigSpur.com has said will make his announcement sometime between now and next weekend. I guess it's got to get one of those edits done for Twitter or something, a video. I'm not sure what exactly, but they picked up two commitments over a big weekend on from the recruiting standpoint, and it'll be kind of interesting. There's a third player that I was tracking that if you go by 24/7 Sports, they do their crystal ball. Rivals has a future cast where you just kind of, based on what you're hearing, you put in a prediction. And Ryan Brubaker, 6'6", 280-pound offensive lineman out of the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of people now projecting him to South Carolina. And that would be huge because A, he's a really good player, but B, he's a Penn State legacy player, and Penn State has been pushing for him very hard. So I would think that in Shane Beamer's first year, with Greg Atkins as offensive line coach, if they're able to go in and take a player out of Penn State whose father played at Penn State and Penn State wants badly, that's a pretty big. I don't know what else will happen in this recruiting cycle. And of course, Tim, you've always pointed out you got to get them signed. You got to get them on campus. That's a pretty big victory if they end up getting him. So we'll see what happens. I think he's still got some visits that he wants to take. I know Tennessee, Stanford, Vanderbilt, and Penn State are the other four teams to go along with South Carolina. But that would be one to really keep an eye on.
So I guess my question from the outside looking in is, what do you make of the feedback? I saw somebody on social media over the weekend. I apologize for not being able to give proper attribution. You're like, is anybody going to take a non-unbelievable visit to somewhere? Because you get this reaction from high school kids about their visits, and not just to South Carolina, but to any college, big time college football environment. And to me, all of the reaction reads pretty similar. Bill, I know you've been a lot closer to this through the years and done a lot more work on this. So I know this is a tremendously unique environment because of the dead period has been extended so long, and because of camp and on-campus visits kind of combining all at one time to make this a tremendous kind of firestorm this month. But what do we make of all of these reactions? I'm just looking on the front page of Gamecock Central right now. Florida speedster C.J. Smith, quote, blown away. Stone Blanton going with the, quote, unbelievable trip to South Carolina. Another prospect saying it felt like home, honestly. Is this what you expected to get from the weekend? Should we expect more of this? Or do we need to make more of it than maybe we would typically?
Well, I think it's a combination. I've said for a while that with Shane Beamer that the honeymoon period was going to last nine months. I think it lasts up until that Kentucky game, and then if you win Kentucky, maybe it extends a little bit longer. If you lose Kentucky, then we all get out the pitchforks and the shovels and all the other items needed to march on the football stadium. But with that being said, one thing that South Carolina has an advantage of, now they don't have the advantage of selling victories. And currently, they don't have the advantage of selling a product on the field that we know what it's going to be. But what they do have is the fact that that facility is still brand new. I mean, it's crazy to think that Will Muschamp really never got to use the operations facility to really recruit. I think he only had one recruiting cycle, if I'm thinking correctly. And then obviously everything got shut down in March of last year. And it is a really good facility. You know, we've heard strong things about this staff, about their ability to be able to relate and to work with kids. Justin Stepp, and Torian Gray in particular, as far as assistant coaches. Shane Beamer is, of course, very personable, and we're learning about the other guys as well. So I think it's a combination of that. where you really have something positive to sell. You have a great right now venue that's still top of the line. It hasn't been outclassed by other people building stuff just yet. It's top of the line, and on top of that, you've got a little bit of a vision you're selling, and it's a lot easier to sell a vision than it is to sell 2 wins in 1 year, 4 wins in another under the same coaching staff, if that makes sense. And then the third component of this is, yeah, kids are going to be blown away. Again, you finally got kids that are able to get out and to go and to take visits and see campuses and see facilities that are not their high school weight room. And I know certain high school weight rooms out there are absolutely incredible. But guys, I mean, you know this the same way. And I'll use it if you can play a really good golf course around here in Columbia as many times as you want. And then you go up to Pinehurst where it's immaculate. They're holding U.S. Opens and do all those things. You're blown away by it, right? And I mean, that's
believe
that's
that
kind of what it, huh?
I've never been, but I believe that. I believe
I mean, that's kind of the way it is. You go up and you see these places. And so I don't think it's just South Carolina. I think it's, I'm just scrolling through it. Like Minnesota makes huge impression on 22 defensive end Anthony Smith. And I'm just reading, some of the headlines just from other commitments, other people who are out there, I guess, on the weekend. You see, yeah, you're right. Pretty much all of it. Doesn't matter what school. They're absolutely blown away by it because of the fact that, as you just said, Tim, or as I'm pointing out, they're being able to go and check out college football facilities, which we all know people are pouring money into left and right.
Danny B hits us up Facebook live stream, says, I saw a post that South Carolina has the top 10 facility in college football. Not surprised that they are excited. Yeah, I guess that's just what I'm trying to figure out from reading reaction is how South Carolina, the reaction that you get from the prospects there, how that differs from Tennessee at this point with Josh Heupel and company, or Florida with Dan Mullen down there, because that's always the conundrum with South Carolina football, right? Even top 25 classes can be bottom half of the SEC in college football recruiting, and that's the monster that this coaching staff will continue to battle. They know it. Shane Beamer knows it better than anybody, having done it at South Carolina as the recruiting coordinator for Steve Spurrier, and it is something that we've never seen, though, from the college football fan perspective. Everything stopped for a year plus, and then the floodgates opened this month. It was set up to be a big month, and it seems to be living up to that billing for sure as we sit here on June 14th, almost halfway through the busy month for college football recruiting and other college sports recruiting as well. Wanted to set that College World Series field for you. So 2 super regionals still to be determined today. 1 o'clock at Founders Park, right here in Columbia, Virginia, and Dallas Baptist. Dallas Baptist eked out the first game. I believe that was a 6-5 final score, and Virginia with the shutout yesterday, 4-0. So you get the final game number 3 today at 1 o'clock between the 3 seeds there, Dallas Baptist and Virginia. Virginia will be the home team in that one. Mississippi State hosting Notre Dame, 7 o'clock tonight. ESPNU is the Virginia-Dallas Baptist game. ESPN2 is Mississippi State and Notre Dame. The Arkansas series is the most notable one, and Clemson fan Jim weighing in this morning says, good morning, Clemson Tigers, and you too, Gamecocks, another SEC team, Arkansas, that was overrated and beaten by ACC's NC State Wolfpack. That is Jim C. doing what he normally does and trying to poke the bear this morning. Again, first, 1999 is the last number 1 overall seed in college baseball to go on and win the national championship. A crazy stat to me. And this super regional specifically crazy because of the first team was 21-2, I believe, a super regional record for runs, what Arkansas did to NC State. And Elliott Avent, a guy that Ray Tanner knows very well, he actually mentioned Ray Tanner in his on-field post-game interview after NC State got the big win yesterday, because he was talking about his mentor, both he and Ray Tanner's mentor, Coach Esposito, was, I guess, the advice he gave both of those guys, some coaching, was just stay out of good players' way. And he mentioned that yesterday, and NC State pulling a huge upset there. Other winners over the weekend, Ole Miss, another SEC team that fell in the Super Regional, 16-3, that final score last night. So Arizona going back to the College World Series, as is Texas. They're a 12-4 winner yesterday. And I mentioned that Tennessee, 15-6, they pounded LSU, headed to the College World Series as well. Interesting field, I think, and NC State, Arkansas leading the way. Bill, it just reminds me how difficult it is to get to the College World Series. Probably the more we get removed from that run that Carolina had, 22 straight, the NCAA record wins, the more impressive that era was for Gamecock baseball, and seeing a team like Arkansas go down over the weekend, the latest reminder.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. The Arkansas news obviously was the biggest shocker of the weekend, especially because of what you said. It was 21-2 on Friday night, and then yesterday's game was a classic. Kevin Kops how do you say his Kops?
Yep, Kops.
Just absolutely putting forth an epic pitching performance. I think the last I saw before I went outside to get the pizza was like 120 pitches he was at. For the
122 he finished up.
Yeah, okay. So I was right there when he was getting pulled, but just absolutely ridiculous from him. Felt bad for him, and then obviously gives up, or he doesn't give up, but Arkansas gives up the home run in the top of the ninth there and loses 3-2 to an NC State team making a great run right now. And we'll see if Virginia can get it done today. Obviously giving the ACC a third team in there with Notre Dame and with NC State would be a really neat storyline for that conference. You mentioned it, Mississippi State and Arkansas, man, two teams that I think we both would have chalked up to having in the College World Series. Certainly not there. So pretty interesting. Again, not quite all in on the College World Series, but certainly something that's been an entertaining event to follow this weekend. Again, I'll get more into the hockey. Hockey is where I'll continue to kind of take myself, but it does give you some fresh blood in the College World Series, and I think that'll make for some fun.
803-404-6100 is the number in the program if you would like to join. Looking forward to seeing where this thing takes us today. You never know where we're going to end up. Bill said you had the microwave bacon conversation in the Pinehurst Pro Shop.
That's right.
You never know. Just never know how it's going to work. Again, 404-6100 if you'd like to call or text. Or up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitter as well. At 1075 The Game, the station handle there on Twitter. That's the video stream if you'd like to join that way. It's the early game. It's 1075 The Game.
Home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer. 1075 The Game.
Today's an absolute dream come true. Not just to be a head coach.
Lane's coming in hot.
Oh, Lane needs a hug at 6:30. Lane, turn the station. Turn the station. Don't listen anymore.
Hates it so much that he's watching the live stream. Man, tough Monday morning for everybody.
Welcome to June, middle of June. Attaboy, Anthony. Their muscle.
Did you read about the Muschamp emails? I was just reading the article about it.
I read the first one. There've been a series of them, haven't there?
I guess.
What'd you take away? Anything?
Not really. Other than the list of 10 coaches, Muschamp wasn't on it. But it was all head coaches, so I guess it would make sense.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything noteworthy.
To me, that is a June story.
Well, the way it was not going bad. It was the title of the article like every Thursday or like controversial thing, and you read the article. Completely normal. No one lied about anything. That's what we heard. Oh.
The Suns ended up sweeping last night. They were up big late when I went to bed.
They did.
Yeah, Jokic got ejected.
Did you see the fight there? The Suns fan just wore out the two Nuggets fans and stopped midway through the fight and goes, Suns in 4.
Yeah.
Terrible feedback from somebody.
Probably me, I would imagine.
Is it gone now? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was funny, though. They just like ganged up on him, and he just threw 20 uppercuts to the guy's jaw. Then they ran away and told security, got Suns in 4.
That was a classic. Not only that, but that one dude tries to hit him and about falls down. What do you think about 2 rows?
Oh yeah, I always get scared watching fights happen up that high in the bleachers. Anytime I'm up in the nosebleed section of any stadium, I am scared of falling down and tumbling down 20 rows of seats.
Pinehurst was good, Craig. There's just a lot in it's really a lot in 48 hours, to be honest. I was able to get back. I was back around 5:30 yesterday. So we wrapped up yesterday at 2:30. Oh, no sleep number today. I really could have used a sleep number. Sleep number would have gotten their best endorsement ever after the way I slept this weekend on that bed.
I just need a new bed. I don't think I've slept 8 hours consecutively in 2 years. I don't think I've slept 7 hours consecutively in 2 years.
I don't think it gets better as you get older.
It won't.
I don't know if people get great nights of sleep as you get older. Like,
I just have an uncomfortable bed, and I took a nap yesterday evening, which probably didn't help me sleep, so I woke up at 3.
You guys hear about the soccer story where the guy collapsed?
I watched it, yeah.
You watched it?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it on the air.
From Denmark, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a great player, too.
All right, head back in. Yeah, that's right.
Hot Take Hotline, always there for you. 803-978-6654 if you needed to vent, if you need to vent in the future or needed to vent over the weekend. 24 hours, 7 days a week. That Hot Take Hotline is there. Sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Again, 978-6654 is the Hot Take Hotline. If you would like to get in live with us, that number right now, the Love Chevy phone lines, 803-404 6100. You can also text, as several of you have done already, on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Gene just wanted to make sure we knew that NC State was a heck of a road team this year. Road Warriors. Reminds me when Elliott Avent was in a regional at South Carolina back in the day, and this was after Russell Wilson had announced that he was going to transfer, and he mentioned, and so this had to be right around 2009, 2010, I think it was. He was just talking to kind of a bunch off the record for sure, just hanging out. He's like, man, I'm telling you, if Russell Wilson transferred and played quarterback for somebody, he'd win the SEC championship. He was just talking about kind of the character of Russell Wilson back in the day, what a good leader he was. Clearly, I mean, that one has really stuck with me because you hear coaches say that kind of thing all the time about guys, but then those guys usually don't go on to win the Super Bowl and do what Russell Wilson has done in his NFL career. So Elliott Avent's always really stood out to me from that perspective, the NC State head coach. Guys, outside of the NCAA Super Regionals this weekend, a couple headlines from a national standpoint outside of playoffs or anything else. Number one, Patrick from the NFL. I mean, what is Le'Veon Bell doing? I don't understand.
I was hoping we would get to this.
Just be quiet. And then he just keeps talking about it. He called out Andy Reid and he says, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I still feel the same way about Andy Reid. I don't understand. There's a reason why he's unsigned. He's a tremendous player, but wow, just seems to be writing the book about how to be a bad teammate. And then the other big-time headlining story over the weekend, he was gone, is what a doctor was saying in Copenhagen, Denmark, right? It was Denmark midfielder Christian Eriksen, I guess, collapsed on the field, and it was cardiac arrest is how the story goes, the team's doctor, and he says, we got him back after one defibrillator. So great news is he's in stable condition, seems to be doing relatively okay after this very scary situation. Patrick, you said you saw that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge tournament. The Euro tournament is probably the biggest, I guess, continental tournament. Everybody does one of these. For us, it's the Gold Cup. But yeah, the Euro tournament is huge, and he's a world-class player. He's by far the best player in Denmark. He was probably most notably one of the best players on Tottenham, which is a pretty storied English Premier League team in London. And yeah, I mean, clearly it was on ESPN, and clearly nobody understood the severity of what was happening. You just saw him fall, and they kind of did like a close-up because anytime somebody goes down, he's grabbing his leg or something, they'll just kind of isolate on the player while the training staff comes out. But it was one of those just crazy situations where everyone just looked at him and was like, all right, come get him. And then you look again and you're like, oh no, this is serious. Get out here now. And like, just his face was just like, his eyes were wide. He was just like laying on the ground, and it was terrifying. So they delayed the match for a couple hours and got him stretchered off. And while you were watching that, you literally had no idea. Like, I could not have confidently said watching the match, yeah, he's going to be okay when they took him out. So it is a miracle that they were able to make that, able to resuscitate him. And I guess hearing he was gone after the fact just makes it even more scary. So I still don't know exactly what happened. I don't even 100% know what cardiac arrest is, but I don't know what caused it or anything like that. But it was really, really jarring to watch.
As I understand it, from a very simple, not unscientific explanation, is he had a heart attack. That's what that is, and a lot of times you don't know exactly what the cause is here. I'm just reading the reaction here where they're saying it was the wrong move to ask players if they wanted to continue, and they are all in shock, and they didn't know if they had lost their best friend. And amazingly, the player was making sure everybody else was okay. He said he didn't remember much. He said, I'm more concerned about you guys. How are you doing? I mean, wow, what a crazy story. And reminds me of the scene at Williams-Brice with Marcus Lattimore the second time going down against Tennessee, just being in a stadium like that where everyone's kind of in shock. I mean, tens of thousands of people and going through something like that. Glad this one certainly had a good ending, and they were able to get him get him back.
As soon as he went down, the couple minutes afterwards, Twitter was going crazy, and the first thing that was trending was Hank Gathers. Yeah. Totally makes sense. That was very reminiscent of that.
and Loyola Marymount back in the day. Remember, was it Bo Kimball who shot the left-handed throws in honor of Hank Gathers during the NCAA tournament? And I hadn't heard that name in a while, but yeah, that's unfortunately an appropriate, I guess, comparison there. But good news on the soccer field. It ends up in a good story. Let's get back to the exact opposite of that in sports, right? This is a classic. That was literally life and death, and you saw it play out on the field. And fortunately, it has a good ending. The Le'Veon Bell NFL story where he goes on Twitter and calls out Andy Reid and then goes back on Twitter and says, well, if you have a personal problem with me, I get it. I shouldn't have aired that out, a personal thing publicly, but I haven't changed how I feel. What is he doing? What is the deal?
I guess he's just a generally bad guy because Andy Reid is as close as you're going to find to a unanimously beloved person. When I don't know what we were talking about maybe last week about the coaches that you like the most, whether they're yours or whatever. Andy Reid is on everyone's list. Like every player that's ever played for him loves him. He's known to be a player's coach, and he's come up a couple times as we talk about these OTAs that have been mandatory or not mandatory, and Andy Reid's known to take it easy on guys in practice. Everybody loves playing for him and all this stuff. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell is just getting dragged on Twitter by everyone. Tyrann Mathieu responded and said fellows want to blame everyone but themselves for whatever goes wrong. Le'Veon Bell's not getting another job now. He just pretty much guaranteed that his career's over. Andy Reid has one of the largest coaching trees of any active coach in the NFL, and I think it would have been Jeff Schwartz tweeted, half of the league is Andy Reid disciples and the other half respect him so much that they're guaranteed to not give Le'Veon Bell a job. So you were the best running back in the league when you were a Steeler, and just in your prime decided to take a year off because you didn't feel you were making enough money. Come back and play for Adam Gase. He's been blaming Adam Gase for everything, the way he was used, and now you're taking to Andy Reid. So nobody's going to value anything Le'Veon Bell ever says again, and it's pretty much forgotten how good he was just 5 years ago, because 2016, 2017, he was incredible. And, I mean, his career is over. I don't even know how old he is. I assume he's, like, right around 30. But he's just salty that he didn't play in the Super Bowl. I would assume, he's 29 years old and his career's over. Yeah. So I assume that he's just upset about playing time, but that's just how it goes. Sorry, you came to a pass-happy team, and you were the last guy in. You weren't there for a training camp and all that stuff. It's hard to get acclimated to the new locker room and all that stuff. So maybe it wasn't an ideal situation, but good riddance.
Well, we'll certainly talk more about it as we move on this morning, because Bill, I know you used him as an example of a guy who basically tried to rewrite the script when it came to running backs and contracts and the whole deal, and he did to some extent. And now, unfortunately for him, he's writing a terrible final chapter, I think, in a lot of ways. I wanted to get back to that soccer story of the guy in Denmark who collapsed on the field, and they called it cardiac arrest, right? My simpleton explanation is that's a heart attack, or we actually have a professional weighing in. Our buddy, Dr. Bulldog, Gamecock Larry's buddy especially, he hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. A young, healthy person, it's usually not a true heart attack that causes cardiac arrest. A heart attack is a blockage leading to inadequate blood flow. This is arrhythmia due to another unexplained cause. He'll have testing to try to figure it out. They just don't know yet. So, Patrick, you said you didn't know. Well, neither do the doctors right now know exactly why that happened. And speaking of Dr. Bulldog, that means we got to get his buddy Gamecock Larry on the line, who wants to weigh in about some college baseball, what he saw over the weekend. Gamecock Larry, how you doing, first of all, and then tell us what stood out to you on the weekend. How about Dallas Baptist if they win today against Virginia? All right. We got it. We got it figured out. It's 4-0. You got it. They got pounded by Arizona. They're done. Just 3-2. Mm-hmm. Might get the end of that.
Who was the last part?
Get that.
Is that out of a movie?
Podunk too. God.
Is that the JV team for Podunk 1? Hey, Jim, when you asked that question, do you have our NASCAR standings in front of you?
Anthony says Gamecock Larry is my hero. Quick on the mute button today. I love it.
Oh, blame her.
The Cool Care Heating and Air text line, another anonymous texter says the SEC needed Mr. Heimlich yesterday. Quote, greatest year in SEC baseball. Not so much. So clearly some Clemson fans, I'm guessing.
This is how I felt pumping up
Reveling
Big
in-
Ten and basketball all season for them to not
Right.
make any exact same thing.
First of all, the SEC could still have 3 of the 8 in the College World Series if Mississippi State wins today. They've already got 2 of the 8 with Vanderbilt and Tennessee. But Ole Miss getting pounded last night, Arkansas getting upset at home, keeping the SEC from getting 5 of the 8. Texas already there, Stanford already there for the first time in a while, I believe, as well. And Arizona looked really, really good. Unfortunately, man, did you guys watch any of that Ole Miss Arizona series? I watched some of it. Really, I think you said you called a little bit.
A little bit of it, yeah.
To compare that atmosphere, what was going on in Knoxville or Starkville, it's just, I mean, like it was on a different planet. Like Arizona, it was a decent crowd numbers wise, I guess, but nowhere close to capacity, and just tame is how I would put it. They were complete madhouses in Starkville and Knoxville over the weekend. Non-SEC people, that's why I think there's so much conversation around it. It's not just what happened on the field. And you're right, a disappointing weekend overall, I would say, from the SEC perspective, outside of Vandy looking like Vandy has looked nearly, I don't know how far back to go, but certainly with Rocker and Leiter, it's going to be really difficult for anybody to beat them. But it was the first series Arkansas lost all season long. A brutal time to do it, and a tremendous upset for NC State, no doubt about it. But the environments for college baseball in Starkville and Knoxville over the weekend, man, it just shows me why this formula that the NCAA tournament has for baseball is so tremendous, because you get the home environments and then you get the neutral site for 8 teams going out to Omaha College World Series. Reminded of just how special those are over the weekend, and great to see full stadiums and fans back enjoying the game and the whole thing there. We'll continue to discuss. You guys can continue to take shots or weigh in with your perspective, however you see fit. 803-404-6100 is the number. Gene says Gamecock Larry never holds back. Awesome. It's the early game here on 107.5.
Summer vacations are just around the corner. Maybe they're getting started this week for you. The question is, do you have a reliable vehicle to get you to that summer vacation? It's no fun to take off, get stranded on the side of the road because something broke down, something wasn't right. You need to make sure you got a reliable vehicle. And now there are great deals going on at Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can go visit for yourself. One of the reasons, 14 acres of brand new Chevys from which to choose from. Largest selection of anywhere in the Midlands. That's right. So you go out there, you're going to find the car, truck, the make, the model, the interior, the exterior, everything that you're looking for in a car or truck, you're going to find at Love Chevrolet. Next reason, the incredible sales staff, so knowledgeable. There are things that can be a little confusing. Maybe you want some answers as to how this helps you with your daily routine, this new vehicle. The folks at Love Chevrolet are going to make you feel comfortable, make you feel confident with your purchase. And quite frankly, that's very important as well. Reason number 3, the low price guarantee, the $1,000 low price guarantee. Go shop other dealerships, take the deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it, or they'll write you a check for $1,000. Hasn't happened anytime lately. You need to go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can visit them on the web, lovechevy.com. Go find out for yourself, though, why Love Chevrolet, the best here in the Midlands when it comes to servicing you and your family. Again, that's Love Chevrolet. Get out there and find new roads. All right, now we'll get coffee because apparently we forgot to make it.
So what is that move called that you're doing right there, Patrick?
This is just cradling. This is how you this is how you make sure you're possessing the ball, because if you just run without cradling, it'll bounce out of your stick.
Gotcha. The feedback's that bad, huh? On mine?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. But it's not all the time, is it?
Weird.
Like, now I just talked. I didn't hear anything when you were unmuted. Just toggling it back and forth. Feedback on StreamYard.
So that guy had just made a pass in the game and just collapsed?
Well, it was a throw in and then a pass, and like he was falling to the ground, and the ball hit, like they passed him the ball as he was falling to the ground, and it like bounced off his chest and to the guy as he was falling to the ground.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it was one. You see it sometimes. Like I always think of when Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Theismann's legs, and he jumped. Like it just looked like a normal play, and then you look down, and then we're like, oh, get out. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was just they looked at him, didn't know what was the deal, and then you look again and see his face that's just like completely glazed over.
Yeah, it's like there's something that we all can recognize immediately when it's serious like that, I think.
Yeah, and being on ESPN didn't help either. I mean, everyone was watching that.
Guess we're trimming trees out here.
All right. That sounds like a good morning.
You're kidding. Big dumpster, tractors, bobcat. All right, guys, are up.
I never want to give a report like this a lot of credence, I guess. So that's why I haven't brought it up this morning. What do you guys make? I think a pretty well-respected NBA writer from The Athletic threw in Dawn Staley's name in the mix as being one of the candidates for the open Portland Trailblazers job, along with several other notable names for sure. Becky Hammond, I think, probably maybe the most focused on name there, the assistant for the San Antonio Spurs, who's also going to interview for the Orlando Magic head coaching job and seems to be on pace to be the first female head coach in NBA history. But even after the last time she was asked about this publicly, where Dawn Staley talked about how she didn't have any desire to go coach in the WNBA or the NBA, that her name pops up on the short list of a handful of candidates for that open Trailblazers job. Bill, what do you make of it?
I mean, when you say what do I make of it, I think that they would be interested in hearing her philosophies and talking to her. It's hard to say because at times the NBA can be a bit of a retread league. And so I don't know if they would go with someone without NBA experience. If they did, it would seem like they always typically tend to go with the hot college coach. I'll be interested to see if she actually gets an interview and what that exactly means for her. It does sound like that they've contacted Ray Tanner and at least expressed interest in talking to her. To me, it's casting a wide net here and seeing what's out there and what's available. And again, listening to theories and ideas on how to run your organization. The thing with the Trailblazers, Patrick, you would kind of agree with me. I think they're not that far away from being a legitimate contender. I mean, they're obviously a playoff team. I forget the exact number of years they've made the playoffs. They've got a good roster. They're kind of built to win now. They need probably one more piece. Patrick, you agree with that? Like, this is a team that I don't know.
Yeah, they're in an odd place because Damian Lillard is one of the 5 to 10 best players in basketball. They've just been kind of in that spot. They've been a superstar short for years. We thought he and CJ McCollum was going to be enough to carry them, and it just hasn't turned out to be the case. Damian Lillard's been incredible. He's one of the best clutch performers we've seen in a while, and it's just never been enough because his teammates always let him down. So I don't know what they need, but I don't know if it's coaching or what. But yeah, what you said about Dawn Staley, I mean, I wouldn't start thinking about it as a legitimate possibility unless you get to interview.
I mean, I guess I just say this. You're right. If you talk about the rest of their roster, it's not an awful roster. It's just they need at least one more legitimate part to their roster, I think. And look, this year they were 42 and 30, I believe, is what they ended up being. They were sixth, I believe, in the conference, but they were like 4 games away from being in fourth or third and having home court advantage throughout the playoffs. They're right there kind of at it. They're in a really tough division with Utah and Denver. I don't know if Dawn Staley necessarily changes that. I feel like this is where they know they've got about a 3 or 4, maybe 5-year window left. But to me, it's more about getting Damian Lillard help than it is going outside the box when you're coaching.
So again, one report out there that Dawn Staley will be interviewed or is certainly one of the finalists for the Portland Trailblazers NBA job. She's having a busy weekend in Puerto Rico coaching Team USA at the AmeriCup. That includes a couple of Gamecocks and Aaliyah Boston and Destiny Henderson leading the way there. A couple other Gamecocks playing for a Team Canada, Team Brazil as well. Hour number 2 coming up here on the early game.
This is Todd Ellis, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks.
Oh boy.
Maybe we go with scariest scenes that you've been a part of at a sporting event, coming off the soccer thing.
Scariest scenes? All right. Trying to think what exactly what that one would be. But I mean, I've got one instantly in my head, but
They ran out of beer.
why would that be a scary scene?
Bourbon, Jen.
I'm sorry. They ran
Jen
out of
doesn't pay
liquor.
attention. Although I did drink 2 beers on the golf course yesterday, some kind of IPA beer that was actually pretty good. I might have to get some to take out on the boat.
Uh-oh. Watch out.
Yeah, it was actually kind of delicious. It was a juiciness. I can't remember. It was kind of a weird can. Sonoma, I feel like maybe. I can't remember. Some I'd never heard of. But it actually was like a good, like light kind of, it was actually not a bad little IPA. Right now,
Broadening your horizons.
India Pale Ale. So,
That's what IPA does stand for. Yeah, I still don't understand that whole thing. Somebody tried to explain it to me one time that they put beer on a boat to India and they put it in a certain spot in the boat and it ended up making it like a heavier alcohol content, I think. So that's how these IPA things became a category.
Interesting.
Yeah, that only thing IPA really means to me is like increased alcohol content, which I don't think that's exactly what it's supposed to mean, but that's what it means to me.
It was like a 6.8. It wasn't a ridiculous.
That's pretty strong.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But you're right, not ridiculous. I think they got them up to 9 and maybe more than that.
Well, great. I don't even remember what it was now. Kind of. Maybe it was.
Patrick, what are your thoughts on IPAs?
I like them, but I usually stick to light beer because they hurt my head the next day.
Any idea what an IPA actually is? I'm guessing you're more well versed in all this. No,
Not really.
I mean, India Pale Ale is what I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
No, that's what it stands for. But it just doesn't. Like, are they all from India? No. So why are they called India Pale Ale?
Right.
I think it's that boat story, like how they're made. But
They're just like fruity and sugary, so they are not as good for hangovers. But on a hot day, like they do hit the spot. I'll start with one and then just work my way down after that.
so Patrick was thinking about going with the scariest scene that you've been a part of in a sporting event, based off that soccer story from yesterday. What do you think?
There's definitely, I've seen lots of bad ones in lacrosse.
Really?
Yeah, there was one this year in Baltimore. Got hit in the chest, and his heart just immediately stopped. A freshman on a varsity team in Loyola Blakefield was the high school, and that's happened before. Kids get hit like in neck. I've seen it at tournaments a lot.
Wait, the kid you were talking about?
Well, no, that kid ended up being but it was a really scary scene. But I've seen it at tournaments where kids will just get hit in the neck or something, and it can be very bad. You don't really have much chest protection. You have little to no protection if you're a defenseman. So if you get hit in the right spot in the chest, it can be very bad.
So maybe shocking is the way to go. Like, what was I don't know. I think scariest might be the right label, but I don't know exactly. Like, oh, Max, a beer guy. Let's see what Max got on the IPA thing.
Very in depth.
Not a boy, Mac.
But
A lot of people don't like them.
Yeah, they take some getting used to for sure. The hoppiness.
Yeah. There's not really much I don't like. I'm not a big Corona guy.
Thank you, Mac. You're not a big what, Patrick?
The only beer that I'm not hugely fond of that is very popular is Corona. I don't love Coronas. But Guinness is my favorite beer, so I like stout.
Guinness is a really heavy beer, though, isn't it, right?
Oh yeah.
I agree.
It looks heavier than it is. And it's only like a 4%er.
Really?
You can drink them all day long, yeah. They have, yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to make a slight change here for the next few weeks and have something different than just bourbon on the boat. Big plans for the Father's Day? You got Father's Day coming up. U.S. Open this weekend, too.
Yeah, I'm guessing you didn't catch much of the Palmetto. You see, Heath went down there on Saturday, I think.
Saw
Oh,
that.
did he?
Mm-hmm. I watched the finish yesterday. That was weird.
Who won?
A guy making his first start in the regular season in the PGA, 22-year-old.
Yeah, he's a South
South
African.
African.
Yeah.
Good for him. Is he a college player? Or?
No, he's a pro. He's been on the European tour, I think, for a little bit. But the guy who was leading, I felt so bad for him. They had flown his wife in to surprise him and the whole deal, and he the last 3 holes and kind of choked it away.
That's a bummer.
How big was his lead going into Sunday?
Well, he didn't have the big lead going Sunday. I think somebody else did, right? Shot league. Maybe I read that one wrong.
No, I thought Headley had a 2 lead going into Sunday. Am I wrong?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I didn't pay that much attention to it. I know Dustin Johnson was in the mix too, and he didn't play very well.
No, he didn't play good after Friday.
All right, we are back in. Kids are up.
Hello, hour number 2 in the middle of June. Hope your Monday morning's off to a good start. Not necessarily a banner weekend of sports, and that's typically how it goes for us in June, unless the Gamecocks are still involved in super regional play. And having gotten so close and then seeing baseball being played at Founders Park over the weekend just makes for an awfully weird environment, I think. Also, the fact Patrick hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Somebody get Elias on it. It's got to be a record. Got to be. That a team who won a super regional got outscored in that 3-game series by 17 runs. That's exactly what happened with NC State and Arkansas. Crazy, Patrick says. And it is, and it's a good place to start from, I think, as we get hour number 2 going. A few Clemson fans hitting us up in hour number 1 and pointing out correctly, accurately, that it was not a good weekend for SEC baseball. That has been certainly very well respected nationally all season long, and had the chance to get 5 of 8 College World Series teams in there. Vanderbilt cruises through 2-0 in their East Carolina Super Regional Series, so they're in, and it was Tennessee with 2 wins over LSU in an absolutely just bananas environment over in Knoxville. Today you're going to get a decisive Game 3 in another, or a record-setting Super Regional in Starkville, which had more than 14,000 fans over the weekend at one of their games and set the Super Regional attendance records. So it's Mississippi State and Notre Dame in an SEC ACC baseball Game 3 winner-take-all 7 o'clock game tonight. And at Founders Park, the only other Super Regional that is still undecided right now, Dallas Baptist and Virginia, a winner-take-all game today at 1 o'clock this afternoon. You also had a couple of Pac-12 teams, Stanford looking good, and Arizona eliminating Ole Miss last night, and then Texas in the College World Series as well. I think that's all 6 teams that are in now, a couple of Pac-12 teams, a couple of SEC teams, one from the Big 12, and NC State from the ACC with Virginia a possibility as well. So I think slightly surprising maybe, but not too much knowing just the nature of baseball. And again, the stat that I will continue to repeat several times this morning is NC State making it 1999 still, the last time a number one seeded team going into the NCAA baseball tournament won the national championship. It was Miami back in 1999. Of course, the Gamecocks had the number one overall seed the next year. And sorry to bring that up, and that was the Louisiana Lafayette series for Carolina and company. But 22 straight years it is now that the number one seed. It's kind of amazing, isn't it, Bill? I think it's something to keep in mind when we're always having the college baseball conversation about, okay, what's a good season, and then what's a fair expectation, especially for Mark Kingston and company moving forward from the Gamecock perspective.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the college sport with the most parity is college baseball. I think part of that's because of the scholarship rule. I think you have southeastern teams. I know that the ACC could end up getting 3 teams in the College World Series, but by and large, you look at the ACC in Miami and Florida State. Throw Clemson in there as well. Georgia Tech has been a very good baseball team throughout the years. Obviously, Virginia has had a very good run and has a chance to get back to the College World Series. North Carolina State has been good at times. North Carolina, and then you've got the SEC. But I think the parity of college baseball is what continues to stand out here, and that while Arkansas was obviously an incredible baseball team, hey, you can be beaten even at your home. And I was watching that game yesterday afternoon a little bit. You're talking about environments. That place was shoulder to shoulder. It was as packed as any facility I've seen, hockey, baseball, whatever, in the last year and a half. And it was hard to believe that with maybe the best pitcher in college baseball on the mound, Arkansas wouldn't find a way to scratch out a run there in the final 6 outs and win the ball game. And obviously they give up the home run in the bottom of the ninth and end up losing 3-2. But I think that's, again, a testament to parity. And maybe I should be a little bit more involved, maybe a little bit more excited about games today. You mentioned Dallas Baptist and Virginia here at Founders Park at 1 o'clock, and that game will be on. I just had the complete broadcasting schedule up. Here we go for today. You've got that game at 1 o'clock on ESPNU, and then you've got Notre Dame and Mississippi State at 7 o'clock tonight as the other one that'll be going off. And that one will be Duty Noble out there in Starkville. So both have been really good, a lot of fun baseball to watch. But again, Tim, I think you guys would agree in terms of parity, college baseball is probably the sport that stands out the most.
Well, it's just what baseball is to begin with, right? I mean, you can throw Major League Baseball in there. It used to be that the Red Sox and Yankees could buy their way into World Series titles, and just hadn't been like that lately. So I think you throw baseball first and then the college version for sure. But having said that, too, it's not like you're getting a bunch of Cinderellas going to Omaha this year. Right. There's still a lot of programs out there, certainly South Carolina and Clemson, 2 of them, that get to Omaha a lot more frequently than mid-major programs or other programs that just don't put resources in, like Carolina and Clemson. So
yeah, but I still think across the board, you've seen Oregon State, Stanford is back in there. Stanford's always been a good program. Texas. I mean, again, to me, I know that we get different teams that jump out of nowhere. Texas Tech playing for a national championship in basketball 3 years ago. This past year, Baylor and Gonzaga. But I mean, you still know who your general powers are that are in college basketball and football. Obviously, I think that the expanded playoff will open the door to more parity, but you pretty much have 5 or 6 teams that are head and shoulders above everybody else, and then you got a group of have-nots with one trying to get into that group, coming out of nowhere each and every year. College baseball, and maybe because it's the setup, Tim, and it's not a one-game winner-take-all type deal, because obviously if it's a one-game winner-take-all, we're not having part of this discussion this morning. Arkansas won the first game 21-2. And you go, okay, well, you probably say, well, that's exactly how it's supposed to be at home. Yeah, Arkansas dominates, but it's a best of 3. You got to have some pitching depth. You got to have some guys with some mental toughness. And kudos to NC State this weekend for having that.
It would go the opposite way if more times than not if it was just a one-game deal. Because, I mean, I wouldn't say when you're talking about college basketball, the parity is crazy. It's just the nature of the NCAA tournament. Like, anything can happen in a one-off scenario. So
Right.
just the sport of baseball as a whole, I think, and we're sitting in hockey too, Bill. I mean, like, the best teams have not advanced every series in hockey. I think that baseball and hockey are the two sports where the best team does not always win. Like in the NBA, a 7-game series, the best team almost always wins in the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals. And in football, it's, I mean, at least in the college level, when one team is so much more physically imposing than the other, much more talented, like, you really need to catch a lot of breaks to upset a team that's far more talented than you. So football is for sure the least.
I will admit I'm excited. I will probably stay up a little bit tonight and watch Montreal and Las Vegas in the NHL. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong. All games will be played in Vegas. They're not traveling back to Canada right now. Am I wrong on that?
No, they changed they're allowing the Canadian teams to travel.
Okay, so they are allowing.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was not.
I'm not going to sit here and trick anybody and say that I'm so invested. I've been keeping up with protocols and what you're allowed to and are not allowed to do for Canadian teams. But, man, the Islanders winning yesterday to me sets up right now a great what I think that Tim, you just touched it. As I was kind of thinking, you opened up the segment and you said, yeah, kind of a boring sports weekend, not a lot going on. You did have the Palmetto Championship here in town. If you're still into baseball, you had regionals, you had some NBA playoffs that I
French
guess
Open
were worth
upset.
watching. Do what?
So Novak Djokovic beat Rafael
Yeah,
Nadal.
yeah, obviously a big tennis
Crushed
upset,
him.
huge tennis.
Greatest
upset.
clay player of all time.
But I only say this because right now you're looking at this weekend, Tampa Bay, New York will at least be going into Game 4 on Saturday. You've got the U.S. Open going on this weekend. Tim, I believe, Saturday will be the start of the College World Series, I believe, is opening day there out in Omaha. This actually is kind of our last hurrah of a great sports weekend. Do you kind of agree with that? Like, you got a lot going on this weekend, U.S. Open. Jen, I'm not trying to be funny. I have zero clue where NASCAR is at this weekend. I assume they're racing again. But it should be and it's Father's Day for any of you non-fathers out there that might need a reminder to take care of that special father out there. But this should be a really good sports weekend. But unfortunately, it kind of turns into the last great one prior to the 4th of July and so forth and so on until we get back to football.
Just up in Chen's bitterness in the NASCAR picks contest yet again there, Bill.
Do you realize how badly I'm beating her now? I mean, if we just took Carrie Tharp out of it, is my mic still on?
You know what? Actually, it just proves that you can have no skill, no talent, no knowledge, and still win something. Pretty amazing.
You know what? It also continues to prove that despite me picking third every single time.
You're just lucky. You ought to play the lottery.
You two dunces that pick in front of me really should do more homework.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it shows that the third spot to pick in this picks contest is the money spot.
It really is.
There's really only
That's
one
what
logical
says.
pick.
Picking third is always the money spot. I'm just looking. Jen, how many points did you get this weekend? Did you get a point?
I don't know, 2 or 3.
You have to get at least 1 point.
Yeah, I would now be so far out in front of you, binoculars wouldn't help you catch me.
Oh, in any other way, I could certainly catch you, and you'd know it.
York this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Shocked the Gamecocks weren't ranked number 1 during that 3-year baseball run. What were they ranked? We're talking about that stat in 1999, the last time a College World Series champion has been the number 1 overall seed in college baseball. Bill, I looked this up. Do you remember it off the top of your head where the Gamecocks were in 2010, 11, and 12? It sounds like maybe
one of those years they were not supposed to host a regional. I don't think they were top 8.
So
one of them, I want to say they were 3 or 4.
Well, remember 2000,
another one might have been
right?
7 or. Yep, another one 7 or 8.
Okay, so 2010 is what you're talking about, where Carolina had to go to Coastal Carolina. So they weren't a top 8 national seed and play the Super Regional on the road and unranked. And this was back when they just did the top 8 seeds. And then 2011, they were the number 4 seed in the country. Virginia was the number 1 seed that year, and that's that epic game. Florida was the number 2 seed, the team they ended up beating for the national championship, and North Carolina was the number 3 seed that year in 2011. Looking up 2012 now, but 2012 wouldn't apply because the Gamecocks didn't actually win the national tournament that year or the national championship that year. They ended up losing to Arizona in that final series, but I'm looking that one up, and I know they were pretty high up there. Let's see what actual number it was. What's your guess, Bill? You want to throw out a guess of the
I
actual?
think they were further down. I want to say they were 7 or 8.
You're right.
I think was that the Oklahoma State year? Okay.
Number 8. No, Florida was number 1 again that year. UCLA 2, Florida State 3, Baylor 4. It was Arizona winning it as an unranked team in that particular year. So it's just how baseball goes and how difficult it is, I think, to evaluate from that standpoint what is a good year and what is a program that's on the right track, because you can get some of these years that kind of pop out of nowhere. Not that Coastal Carolina wasn't on the right track, but their national championship, for instance, several years ago is an example. Was it Fresno State as a 4 seed went on to win a national championship one year, and Oregon State, how they had their
4 seed in their 4 seed in their
regional. Yeah, my apologies.
Overall, yeah.
Not even close to a national seed. But yeah, college baseball is just kind of that way for sure. Not necessarily a great weekend for the SEC. What you giggling at?
Did you see this? I'm scrolling through Twitter quickly. The tweet from North Carolina State baseball last night.
Did not.
It's from @NC State Baseball. It says they tried to hashtag KALL, but hashtag call the cops on us, but we got away. And it's the picture of the young man who hit the home run in the top of the 9th coming across home plate. And to give credit where credit's due to NC State's Twitter team for this, they tried to call the cops on us, but we got away.
Unbelievable.
Cops, KOPPS.
Another anonymous texter just wanted to give us the heads up. South Carolina has the 3rd best winning percentage in college World Series history, FYI. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. If you would like to join, love to hear your perspective. 404-6100. You can call or text national stories, especially the one on the soccer field that we don't normally talk about, sticking out for obvious reasons, where it was a life or death situation. Brings up, to my mind anyway, scary situations in sports. If you have one that pops to your mind, the scariest situation that you remember being a part of, would like to hear it this morning. Fortunately, a good ending for the one on the soccer field, but we'll get into that when we come back. And who knows where else we'll go. We touched on a little bit with Gamecock recruiting and a busy weekend for sure. Get back in those details as well. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on. Everywhere. On the air. On your phone or tablet on the...
Oh, goodness. You guys seen this Airbnb contest that's going on?
No, what is it?
12 months of free Airbnbs. They're trying to promote their long-term stays. They're giving a year of free, 12 months, 12 Airbnbs for free, plus travel. So
Wow.
I've picked out my 12 cities. I'm going to start in Australia, and then I'm going to go to Tokyo, and then I'll spend 9 months in Europe before wrapping it up with a month in Hawaii. You're muted.
Okay, so I got out of there 9 European cities is on your list of 12. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to write down some names and see how many we can get. Well, I'll just call them out. That'll be better for what we're doing right now. My number 1 draft pick there would be Rome.
Yep. That was the first one.
All right, we're on the same page here. Number 2, I got to go London.
London's on there. And I've been to London, but I do just want to live there for a year and go to soccer games, or for a month and go to soccer games and the countryside and everything. For sure.
Number 3, I'll go Paris.
Yep.
Number 4, European cities that Patrick has on his list. I'm going to go with Ooh. In October, I'm guessing you went with Germany.
Munich.
What's that?
I could pick any city in Germany really, but I picked Munich because I know that's a
That's
big
what
October hot spot.
I was gonna go to Munich. That's about only city in Germany I really know.
Berlin.
Okay. You got 4. Number 5, I'm gonna go Copenhagen on the list.
No, I actually replaced Copenhagen with Maui.
What?
That was number 10.
See,
Okay,
that's
so
my homeland. So, like, you should.
It's right next to another one that I want to go to.
All right, what else do we got there? You got some in Finland then? Is that where you're going?
Not Finland.
Finland. What else is there? I don't know. What's the one that I'm missing there?
Well, Athens is a big one. Definitely want to go to Greece.
Wait. I thought you were just going there with the one that was close to Copenhagen.
Oh, just the one that was close to Copenhagen.
Like somewhere in Norway.
Oh, wait, Copenhagen's not that close to Norway, is it?
Yeah, Denmark, Norway, Finland.
Yeah.
Because I had it on the list and then I took it off because something was supposed to. Oh, here we go.
You got somewhere Sweden or
Sweden? Yeah, I'm going to Sweden. Yeah.
We need a city name there, sir. I don't even know. What do I got from Sweden?
Glasgow.
Stockholm.
Stockholm. Yeah. Definitely a Swedish city. Okay.
Jason got one on the Facebook chat.
Oh, nice. Barcelona.
For sure, Barcelona.
Good call. I forgot about Spain. I was thinking, what else has to be on the list?
Well, one of them's like known to be just like a massive party city.
Ibiza.
Ibiza?
Not Ibiza though.
Monte Carlo?
No, I guess it's more of like a, I don't know, a party.
Dublin?
Amsterdam.
Oh.
Good call.
Yeah.
25. Sometimes I forget Patrick's 25.
And then the last one is Budapest.
Whoa. I would have guessed Dublin or somewhere in Scotland would have been on there. Oh, Ireland or Scotland.
I figure if I make my month in London during March, then I'll just go over and have St. Patty's. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, in Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, because my my parents and one of my sisters were in Cork over St. Patrick's Day years and years and years ago, and my dad ended up having a heart issue and was in the hospital, so they had to stay longer. And they said literally, like, the celebrations were very bland. Like, it was just trucks rolling through the streets. It wasn't like decorated floats and all this kind of stuff. It was literally just a lot of drinking and just these big diesel trucks driving through the streets. It was very disappointing.
I've also heard they don't love Americans.
They took care of them okay, but yeah, I don't know. Could be the case.
Like, it's not as well. It's not like France bad necessarily, where the rumor is they just hate us, but they're not as welcoming as you might expect for like an English speaking country that we're very close to. I've heard some people were not well received.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you try to go to like a hometown pub or something like that, they'll tell you to leave.
You're talking about Amsterdam?
No, I'm talking about Ireland.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, figured. Scotland. I guess right.
Would love your help this Thursday. It's our summer blood drive at the American Red Cross on Bull Street right there in downtown Columbia. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pre-registration strongly encouraged. Walk-ins are welcome. Everybody who comes to donate gets added into a raffle for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Carowinds. More information, 1075thegame.com. Again, that's this Thursday, 10 to 4, our summer blood drive at the American Red Cross on Bull Street.
What time's Bill going to be there?
I'm guessing it'll be maybe not between 10 or 4.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Just checking.
She's just coming strong this morning. Anonymous texter. What does Clemson baseball need to do to get back on track? How far does Monty Lee have to take them next year to keep his job? First under 500 season in more than 50 years, 60 years, somewhere along there. It's been a long time. It was a tough year, and that's why I mentioned, Bill, that I think it's the most difficult sport to evaluate, from my perspective anyway, about the trajectory of the program, other than obvious years. If you have a really successful year, like Tennessee, for instance, that program seems to be miles ahead of where it used to be, and Tony Vitello deserves all the credit, and it was a huge weekend in Knoxville, and now they're back to the College World Series for the first time, I think, in a couple of decades. For Clemson and Carolina, they've been on the other end of the spectrum. The programs were so successful, any kind of slip and not making the College World Series in several years is seen as a tremendous disappointment for the fan base. I get that. So I think Monty Lee does have a lot of pressure on him to win and to have postseason success at Clemson next year. I think Mark Kingston and the Carolina baseball program maybe a level below that, having at least made the NCAA tournament this year. But obviously Gamecock fans expect more than just making the NCAA tournament and having success. Where are you at on this, Bill?
Well, to me, baseball, because I don't follow the recruiting quite as well, and it's hard with the Major League Baseball draft to kind of, I think, formulate a great opinion. I think, this is a John Whittle question, who lives, breathes, just is a diehard baseball guy, not just South Carolina, but across the board, and understands what each team, or has a better grasp of what each team has coming back every season. Because, for example, let's take the two in-state teams. I have zero clue what Clemson's got coming in, what they'll get through the draft, what will be on campus, who may transfer, who may be drafted off of this current team, and maybe they're better next year and they bounce back very quickly. Same thing for South Carolina. I think I have an idea. I think Wes Clark is going to be drafted. Brett Carey is going to be drafted. I've seen John Whittle talk about Josiah Seitler being a draftable prospect. Bosnick, yeah, maybe.
I thought he was the most draftable.
That was just my personal opinion. I think he's down. I've seen now from the scouts standpoint to about the fourth or fifth guy. Brandon Jordan, I think, is up there. Thomas Farr is up there from the pitching perspective. But Bill, you're getting into the weeds, I think, too much on this. From the Carolina Clemson perspective, it doesn't matter. The program should be good enough to bring in players to replace whatever you just saw, especially off of teams that didn't perform well, that didn't go to Omaha, that didn't go to super regionals. That's just the expectation.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand what you're saying. That is the expectation, but I don't know what they have coming in, or what they're going to have coming back, or what their roster is going to look like. I mean, again, you look at South Carolina in particular. It's very likely, if you throw Brett Carey in there, that they're going to lose their entire weekend rotation. I'll do like Will Sanders, who's a freshman. I believe he was freshman All-American, and has got a chance to maybe be your ace guy. Behind that, we'll see what happens. What is it? It was Jack Mahoney, I believe, who had the Tommy John injury in the middle of the year, and at least according to John Whittle, probably will not pitch next year, but could play some position. Could play some infield positions, I guess. He was also an infielder. We'll see how this team kind of shapes out. The recruiting class, again, you say, Tim, what you just said, I understand. Hey, these programs should be good enough to bring players in that are able to contribute immediately. But then you talk about this Major League Baseball draft, and at times it's hard to gauge who you're exactly going to get through the draft. And it's such an interesting thing, because I can look at the football recruiting. Clemson is probably set to sign a couple to land some commitments from a couple 4-stars this week that'll be very good players. You look at those and you go, okay, I know what the future holds. I know exactly what's going to happen here with Clemson. They're going to continue to stack talent on talent on talent. One of Jack Leggett's biggest things used to be, in talking with people, he would land these really good players, but then he'd lose 6 or 7 to the Major League Baseball draft, and that drastically alters what your recruiting class ends up looking like. And so I think that's always hard to decipher. And then throw in this, both ACC and SEC. Yeah, I get it. The SEC didn't have a good weekend. SEC baseball is still going to be the best in the country next year. Florida, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State. I have no clue about Tennessee. I have a firm belief that LSU will get a perfectly good coach and will continue rolling with talent. Throw in South Carolina's schedule next year, which will include Texas coming to Founders Park. I mean, it's going to be another very difficult year. It's not like you next year go, poof, boy, that schedule is going to ease up a little bit. And you know what? The non-conference will be easier. So from both of these ball clubs' standpoint, it's always hard for me to judge what we're going to see in the following year because of the potential turnover from the previous year.
You never know what you're going to see sometimes when you hit the road and you go to a famous, very historical site. That's what you would call Pinehurst, right? I think famous and historical both fit there. When you go to Pinehurst over the weekend like Bill did, ran into a listener and son who just happened to light it up on the golf course. Hear those details when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game. It's 107.5 The Game.
It's a new year.
They're hungry. They're driven.
In a new attitude.
I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's not some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think are ready to prove to people that we can do some special things here.
New attitude.
I do believe that things are always meant to be.
Welcome home.
My parents went to school here. This is it. There's no other job in the country I would have left for. But to be right here.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Timing, interesting from that perspective for sure. We're talking about sports and evaluating programs and the whole thing. Also an interesting time around my house these days with a 1-year-old who continues to wear us out in multiple ways. Fortunately, we have some help around our house. Zero Res, carpet and air duct cleaning. Zero Res has come out to my house a couple of times. Done a great job cleaning my carpets, which need it more than ever these days, especially around mealtime when it just turns into the Tasmanian devil is what I've kind of that's the best comparison I can make to my 1-year-old right now, who seems to be hitting the terrible twos a little bit early. But Zero Res has helped us out, and I know they can help you out as well, whether it's a pet that is making things difficult on your floors, whether it's children, whether it's just the summer right now, you got the pool, you got a little extra traffic going on. Get your house looking its best and let Zero Res help. They have a patented powered water system, no harsh chemicals involved. That's especially important at my house. Also, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. I know yours can as well. Zero Res has a great deal for you right now as well. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Check them out online where you can book your appointment right now at ZeroResColumbia.com. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
Patrick got booted off the live stream as soon as we're ready to get him back on.
Oh man,
What's that?
I said switched my camera too. There we go.
Here, I got me a new Pinehurst cup there. Well, the good news is when we come back in the studio, I can take down this area here that's my background and go start using these cups.
That one's very pretty though.
Do what?
She said it's very pretty.
Oops.
I was trying to throw out a compliment there.
Maybe for Father's Day, one of my kids will give me a mug that says NASCAR Guru, or one of my coworkers.
I think your kids are like nice, so I don't think they'll do that. I think they don't lie.
They don't lie. They don't lie, you say?
Correct.
So what you're saying is I should show them the standings currently in the NASCAR pick'em?
Yeah, that doesn't really tell the whole story there, big guy.
It tells pretty much all the story, Jen. Patrick, hold on.
This is a long. Yes.
Hold on. Do something quick. Oh, that Airbnb stuff.
Yeah.
Did they have any of the listings in Egypt?
I think you can go wherever you want.
So Jen, you could go to Egypt, and denial would not just be the only thing that you're doing right now. It would be a river you can see.
So is that? How long did you work on that?
Came up with it just now.
Really? Gosh, I thought maybe there was enough beer resin and hops.
It's because clearly, I can't wait for Thursday's segment.
Yeah, you won't be a part of it.
Good morning, Hope. I think from Bill's Twitter, I learned that you have a granddaughter on the way this morning.
No, Hope keeps giving out. She's already retweeted or had another tweet, so it could be another false alarm.
Hey, she's excited. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, you guys are up.
You never know the scope of this show. Already had a live stream participant say joining from a state that is never beaten South Carolina. So I think the guest there was Ohio. I'm guessing where that live streamer was from. Bill, how long did it take you to get to Pinehurst this weekend? How long a drive is that?
It's about 2.5, 3 hours, I believe. Seemed about right.
And as you're
you're
milling about in the pro shop, you get someone coming up just talking microwave bacon. Is that how it worked?
That's I ran into a celebrity golfer and his father who was far more interested in discussing the bacon. That's all right. It was the golfer that was the young golfer that was far more intent. He was focused. I believe it is Teddy D the third, the young golfer, that was far more focused. And I really should have taken him around with me. I should have told him to skip his tournament and brought him along with me for lessons yesterday morning.
So I think we have Teddy D's plural on the Love Chevy phone lines, and they just dropped. It was so close. We'll try to get Teddy D and Son back on the Love Chevy phone lines right now. Now, I believe, Bill, did you throw it out there like, hey, if you win the tournament, give us a call on Monday morning to begin with, and then he just came through and did it? Or how did this work exactly?
Have him back. So weird.
Well, I'll be honest. My Saturday round, I was pleased. Let's brag on me for a second. I was pleased with how I played overall this weekend. But Saturday, I hit the ball exceptionally well. However, a blind man with no arms could have putted better than I putted or chipped around the green, which was brutal. I mean, around the green, I was awful. So, but I was kind of as we were kind of hanging around Pinehurst, and I was going through the clubhouse there, I was kind of reflecting on my round. I was enjoying the way I was able to strike the ball, the way I was able to play, and then Teddy, who does contribute on our text line from time to time. When you're out and about, and somebody just stops you and asks a microwave bacon question, it takes you a minute. I would think it would take anybody a minute to kind of figure out what exactly we got going on. But I was able to put it together, and he introduced me to his son, Teddy Jr., I guess, or Teddy the Third, who had shot 69 in a tournament in a junior championship on Saturday morning. And that blew me away because I was proudly celebrating a 90 again, in which if I had any clue how to putt, it would have been lower. And so the young man, I was so impressed with him. I said, well, you got to keep us updated. You got to let us know how it goes on Saturday. And I believe the tweet that I saw is that he turned around and fired a 73 to claim a junior golf championship up there. I believe it was Longleaf. We'll have to get the actual details of where it was. They were not on at Pinehurst. They were playing at a course just down the road.
Well, fortunately, they're back on the Love Chevy phone lines right now. U.S. Kids Golf was the event. We have Teddy D2 and Teddy D3 on the line. Is that correct out there on the Love Chevy phone line?
That's correct. This is Teddy D2 right now. We, when we saw you, Bill, he was 2 shots behind the leader after shooting 69, and we get up Sunday morning, and we start off. Teddy D3 starts off par, bogey, bogey, and the leader starts off par, birdie, birdie. And I start thinking maybe microwave bacon was not the way to go today, but he proved me wrong. So I'm gonna give him the phone and let you know how he finished up.
Fantastic, young Teddy D3. First of all, we have to get an age here. Bill, what was your guess? Are you good at guessing ages? I'm going to go by pictures.
He told me. I want to say.
Okay, 12 is my guess. Is that right? Teddy D3, how old are you?
Yeah, I want to say.
I'm 14.
Okay, I'm a terrible guesser at that. 14 years old, 69-73 back-to-back. Now, is this a normal back-to-back golf outing for you, shooting 2 under and getting a win in a U.S. Kids Golf event?
I mean, I played pretty well, but I've put those numbers up before. So I mean,
strong.
But I still played really well though, so that was good.
Congratulations. I'm mostly impressed that Bill Gunner didn't drag you down, man.
Well, we discussed shirts. We got into outfits on what he should wear. That was where I tried to impress him the most. I knew I didn't want to mess with his golf swing and start offering, even though I hadn't watched any of it. I didn't want to start messing with his. So I was just trying to offer him to wear the proper what shirt he should wear, the pants, the matching shoes. He was already sharp dressed as it was, and he looked prepared. He looked ready to go. But the 69, what's the lowest round you've ever had?
In a tournament, it has been 69. I've shot that 3 times. 2 over the past, last month.
And what about non-tournament play?
Well, I shot a 67 once at my home course.
All right, what's the home course? You got to give him some love here, Teddy D3. This is what happens when you win tournaments. You got to start throwing out credit all over the place. Probably not sponsors quite yet at 14, but we'll get you in the habit and try to groom you for the big time.
I play out at Cobblestone.
There you go. The boys in Blythewood pumped about Teddy D's victory here. Talk about going to Pinehurst. And I know it wasn't exactly at Pinehurst, but what'd you think of visiting the pro shop there and being at one of golf's hallowed grounds?
It's really cool. You know, you look out the window and you see Pinehurst number 2 and the Payne Stewart statues. That stuff's all really cool.
Nice work, man.
I mean, the kid, you got to admit, he won a golf tournament. He was hanging out at Pinehurst. He saw the Payne Stewart statue, and he ran into me. Now, Teddy, I'm sure there are weekends that are close, but has there ever been a better weekend than that one?
I don't think so, man. That was a pretty good one.
Teddy D.
How many?
Yeah, we got a question on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line I wanted to get to from Trey, who might also be a 3 by the nickname of Trey, by the way. But TD3, is a white belt acceptable? That's the question to you.
Oh, answer that question, big guy.
Yes.
He had the white belt on Saturday. I saw him. We were brothers at that. He was a little bit taller than me, I should add, so he would have been the older brother. I had the facial hair going, but
Let me amend.
He was.
Let me amend the question. TD3, if you cannot break 85, is a white belt acceptable?
No.
Excellent work, sir. Excellent work. Correct answer, Patrick.
I don't know where he lands on Brooks Bryson. He needs to use golf perspective on the golf beef.
Oh. I'm definitely on Brooks's side just because, like, Bryson's trying to get everyone kicked out. And,
Love that.
Okay, you can be on Brooks's side, but does that mean you're a Brooks Koepka fan?
Not really, no.
Fair. I like where you're going with that. Who's your guy, Teddy D? Who, if you're following one guy, you want one guy to win on the PGA Tour, who you got?
Probably Kevin Kisner.
Kevin Kisner, well done.
Yeah,
Keeping it local. Well played, sir. Congratulations on a big weekend as well, and overcoming meeting Bill Gunter and still winning your U.S. Kids event there as a 14-year-old shooting 69.73. Probably go down as one of the best golf accomplishments that certainly we've heard about on this show. And your answer about the white belt, sir, you've definitely passed here. You got a couple of more fans out there. Teddy D3, well done, man. Appreciate your time this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, now we got to get Teddy D2, the proud papa, back on the phone and put this thing in perspective now. Is this a family legacy that TD3 has carried on, or is he overcoming the father? Does this thing skip a generation or two, is my question.
Oh, it starts with TD number one. We were actually in the pro shop shopping for Father's Day gifts for TD Senior. He's the original golfer. He's the one that got me started at a young age. I played a little junior golf. I didn't elevate to the same levels as TD3, but so we've always been golfers. But definitely, number 3 is the best of the three of us.
And overwhelming, underwhelming, or about what you thought running into Bill Gunter there in the pro shop at Pinehurst?
Clearly, the highlight of my weekend was seeing him. The win by my son and caddying was awesome, but seeing Bill Gunter in the pro shop was top notch. The highlight of my weekend, no doubt.
So he's capable of BS.
I picture Teddy walking up onto a wall of white belts and seeing a young man just overwhelmed and trying them all on.
If you want to be dead honest, if you can see on the live stream the color of the Pinehurst, this is what I was looking at when I ran into him. I was holding this kind of, what would you call this, a pink peach?
Tumbler.
Corkle, the kind of like a Yeti cup that I called him. They called me right by. So yeah, it was not a white belt. I was already rocking the white belt, and I actually had a Pinehurst shirt on. So it was, let's just put it this way. When you're out of the state and somebody comes up to you and mentions microwave bacon, as happy as they were, they might have been to see me. You talk about being caught off guard. Not where. So
Teddy,
it was good.
well done.
And congratulations, man. That was awesome, and I'm proud of TD3. That was a really great accomplishment. He looks like he's ready to go to the next level. Get him ready.
That's right. Well, it was great to see y'all. He had an awesome weekend. It was special for me because I got the caddy, which I don't get to do very much. So definitely a wonderful weekend for us.
Excellent stuff. It's an early game miracle here on a Monday morning. Teddy D2 and Teddy D3 on the Love Chevy phone lines. Well done, gentlemen. Hope to hear from you guys. We'll keep our eyes on the progress from TD3 for sure, and you keep spreading the microwave bacon message out there to the people.
No, that was the downfall of the weekend. Yeah.
Plenty more in hour number 2 coming up. We'll get into those Gamecock football recruiting details when we come right back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick, weekdays 9 until noon.
On 107.5 The Game.
Golf guru there in Teddy D3. Fantastic win for him this weekend. Kid to keep an eye on out there in Blythewood. Also need to tell you about another guru. This one a little bit different. The mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. You give him a phone call this morning, not about golf lessons, but about how to refinance and help save money. If you looked at your mortgage statement lately, you might have a lot of equity in your home, something you can use, maybe get yourself out of some financial issues, maybe pay off some debit cards. Jacob and Brian Kovar recently helping a good buddy of theirs. So don't wait around. Give them a call today and see what you can refinance for, or if you're looking to buy a home, which you can get approved for. 803-719-1005. You can email Jacob, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. Jacob Crowder, Brian Kovar, the mortgage guru team with First Palmetto Bank, helping people save money. Right now, if you refinance, they can help you save up to $200, $300, even $400 a month. And again, it might be something where you have enough equity in your home. You're able to do a little bit more, walk out with a little bit of extra cash and pay off some credit cards or a little bit of debt and improve your financial situation. You need to give them a phone call today and find out what I'm talking about. 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, just retweeting that picture of that Teddy D. TD3 with his trophy there. Good stuff. Trey said, big fan of this kid. Can't wait to buy some TD3 gear.
Which one is he?
Yeah, you know, he's in there.
Yeah, he's in there. Let's see.
No, I think he's the second from the right.
The
black hat. Black hat.
That says third place on the trophy.
What are you zooming
He
in?
is the
second to the left.
He's in the white. He's in the pink and the gray with the white Titleist hat.
Okay.
I like that shirt.
Yeah.
So I was wrong there.
Yeah, he's pink and
He's
gray.
the-
There's the other picture that
He's the shortest one of the group, but he's kind of in the middle towards the front there, as he should be in the way.
yeah, you got to see him on Saturday there. Like I said, he's a tall little kid. Of course, not that I'm a very tall person, but
No member guest championship this morning to brag about, Craig. You let Kovar down because I know it wasn't Kovar playing poorly. Well, his playing poorly would be my best round ever.
I really did come out of this weekend feeling good about the way I played. Yesterday, I went 41 on the front, 51 on the back. I shot a 51 on the back with 2 triples and an 8 on a par 5.
Yo, 41-51 in there.
It was something else. Something else.
Did you get to play barefoot? Play barefoot anyway?
No barefoot playing this week. No, we ended up playing the par 3. We sat. The cool thing, it was kind of fun. You sit on the back. Tim, you've been up to Pinehurst before, right? You familiar?
Never.
So on the back, what he's talking about, there's the kind of the porch area with rocking chairs, and you can watch people come in on 18. So I got into a little bit of Woodford and water, and we were all the group. We just kind of sat there. And it's kind of funny because if you hit a bad shot, there's a bunch of people sitting back there, and they would heckle people.
Nice.
So one guy hit his shot over the back of the green, so he's kind of right there in front of a crowd. It's probably 50, 60 people. Some are eating lunch. Some are just having drinks and hanging out. And he flubs his chip, and it gets up to the front of the green, and you just hear somebody yell out, "You just cost me $1, buddy."
That's awesome.
That was kind of neat.
All right, coming back now.
Going straight into the end hour bump. Go bed. Guys, rope.
Blown away. Unbelievable. Felt like home. Some of the reaction to visits, official and otherwise, to Gamecock football over the weekend. Bill, you're the resident recruiting nerd. Can you help keep this in the proper perspective or translate exactly what it means for Carolina football?
I could do it all in hour number 3. Not enough time right now to get into it, but I do think there is keeping some perspective on it, and we'll get into that a little bit in the next hour.
How about that, tease? Also, the harrowing scene on the soccer field that fortunately has a good ending. Who knows where hour 3 will take us here on the early game on 107.5 The Game. I'll make a run for more coffee right now myself.
Yep, I'm going to do that as well. Patrick, hold on the fort.
Unbelievable. Your coffee run is quicker than mine. I can hang out with Patrick while you make it.
Yeah, I'm just going right.
He's kicking him out. No respect, Patrick. No respect.
Wanders off the live stream in every break.
So, what can we put up on the board there? Let's go with scary sports scenes. Go number 1, Lattimore. Number 2, Theismann. Number 3, what do you got? You got another one up there?
That I've seen. Remember.
Go Tyson and Holyfield fighting off an ear.
Lattimore's more like just sad than scary.
Okay. So shocking though, you can. I mean, if you're going shocking, that was pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean Dax was pretty disgusting with us being fully turned backward.
Right. What was that Louisville dude in the? Was that the national championship game too? If you're thinking of those kind of things, as we're talking about this, I'm like cringing as well. So maybe this is not the way to go.
So, and are you talking in person or something you watching?
Right. Yeah, Craig, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I was thinking more in-person stuff. Mm-hmm. But obviously this weekend, the soccer thing was not that. Unless you made a quick trip over to Copenhagen. All right, Bill's back. Kind of. What are you, sweeping?
Yeah, it looks like we're venturing further into the house. It's like they're trying to explore the house.
Oh, Kevin Ware's a good one.
Who?
Kevin Ware.
Yeah, Louisville guy. Ugh.
I'll need to get some good air spray today. And get this cleaned up. Good Lord.
Go shocking moments of sports there, Trey. That's the list that's stand out in your mind. Not just worst injuries, just kind of shocking moments.
I had to look up this guy.
Scary moment. I don't know if I missed Tyson Holyfield is scary.
Right, shocking. Probably more apt description there, right?
I had to look up what the name of this guy was. But this was the guy whose throat got cut by a skate in a hockey game, and he had to race off the ice and
Here's the better question. Tim, which one was more shocking? Tyson, because they weren't the same fight. Tyson Holyfield with the ear, or who was it? Which fight was it where the fan man came in?
Yeah, I think that was the first one. And then the ear was the second one, maybe?
Was it?
I think so, but I don't remember exactly. You can correct me on that one, Trey. Good one with Willis McGahee in the knee.
Oh, what hair was that?
Yeah, but let's
nasty injuries.
Right. Let's stay away from just the awful injuries. It's more the shocking scenes. Be right back.
Is he talking this weekend or just kind of any time?
Is it only bad shocking or good shocking?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and if he's saying if it's something we've been to, then obviously it wouldn't necessarily be from this weekend.
Was it? I'll tell you another one that you say shocking. This was 90s. Was it Jennifer Capriati?
Yeah. What? Just shocking as far as how well she did.
No, when the fan like stabbed her in the back during the tournament.
Monica Seles.
Monica Seles. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
That was shocking for sure. Yep. That was horrible.
Yeah, Monica Seles. She never really recovered from that, did she?
Yeah, not so much.
Because I mean, she was a really good tennis player.
Yep.
Like top in the world, and then after that, obviously, I mean that makes sense. Not like.
I think she recovered physically, but I think that took a toll.
That's what I'm saying. Mentally, that's a lot.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go to the store and get some ant spray today. The ants have turned the corner on me. Still not 100% sure where they're coming from. I don't see a trail. I saw a trail, but I don't. I think they
good
all
one there,
actually
Trick.
running out of the chair. I think I need to have the chairs refinished, repurposed, or whatever. I think that appears to be the problem.
So, Patrick, you just erased the list?
Well, yeah, all I did was injury.
More clarity.
And it can be good or bad, in theory, just for shocking.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe Scariest is the way to go coming off the weekend, because that was just scary, right?
Nancy Kerrigan got stabbed or got her knee bashed in practice, right?
Yeah.
Not like
it wasn't. Right.
Malice in the Palace was a good one. Yeah, that was a shocking, wild one.
Yeah, so that's the difference between shocking and scary, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you say that. I don't know. If players start coming into the stands, it's kind of scary.
Well, remember when Georgetown basketball team got attacked by like the entire crowd and when they were taking their Chinese trip?
Yeah, I heard about it. Didn't see it, though.
There were videos of it. There were definitely videos of it. That was scary.
I didn't know it was Hope's birthday. Happy birthday, Hope. You're trying to get a granddaughter on your birthday?
Sounds like the granddaughter's not cooperating.
I don't think it's the granddaughter. I think it's the baby. The baby has to be ready to make an appearance, right? I'm pretty sure the granddaughter is definitely ready to have the baby.
No, it's her daughter.
Grandmother.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The mother is ready to have the baby. I'm pretty sure it's up to the granddaughter.
Rolling into hour number 3. Hope your Monday's going well. Thanks for being a part of the program. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette, and Jen Jensen. We got a full house for you today. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. Love to have you be part of the program. This has been all over the place and a lot of different
Super Regional Baseball over the weekend where Arkansas wins game number 1 against NC State 21-2, and then the Wolfpack turn around and win the next couple of games, get outscored by 17 runs in the total 3-game series, and yet move on to the College World Series. Ole Miss also bowing out from the SEC perspective. It's Tennessee over LSU, and that super regional, that was bananas there in Knoxville from a crowd standpoint. And Vanderbilt, no problem with East Carolina with their top two pitchers, and Leiter and Kumar Rocker leading the way there. So two SEC teams in, another one with a chance to get in. 7 o'clock tonight, SEC-ACC matchup between Mississippi State and Notre Dame. Mississippi State setting an attendance record for super regionals, more than 14,000 in Starkville. And then the other super regional game, other super regional series left to be determined today, right here in Columbia at Founders Park. Dallas Baptist winning game number 1, Virginia shutting them out in game number 2. Today's winner-take-all game 3 is set for 1 o'clock on ESPNU. Tonight, 7 p.m. game, Mississippi State and Notre Dame, I believe, on ESPN2. Bill wanted to start hour number 3 with kind of how we ended hour number 2 there with the, I don't even know how to put it, the movement, or at least the reaction is the best way to put it, from prospects visiting Gamecock football and interacting with Shane Beamer and staff, seeing it on social media, a bunch of positive reaction as you would assume. But how do you translate it, having followed recruiting as many years as you have, but knowing that this is a completely unique scenario for not just college football, but just kind of college athletics in general, having had such a dead period because of COVID, and not having the opportunities to go and visit, and now seeing prospects getting their first personal interactions and kind of eyewitness accounts of their visits to South Carolina with Gamecock football?
I mean, I'm going to sound negative here, and that's not what I mean to do, but I think, the honest evaluation that I have of it, whether people like it or not, is that I thought Will Muschamp did a good job of getting very good prospects on campus, elite prospects on campus, much the same way that Shane Beamer is doing. What you have to be able to do, though, is land those prospects. And right now, I'm with you. You kind of were joking in hour number 1. I think you said you saw a tweet. Has anybody ever had a bad visit anywhere? I'm sure there's a few. The question is, have they ever been honest about it when it comes to, when it comes to doing an interview? The interviews, definitely, I give you Abdul Carter, who's a big-time linebacker out of, I think, LaSalle Academy again in Pennsylvania, is a kid who's going to make a visit to Ohio State, and Ohio State wants him. But he and his father have raved about the visit. Well, that's great. That shows you that Shane Beamer and his staff are doing something right, but you've got to be able to land those kids. It really doesn't mean much if he goes on, or Ryan Brubaker, the offensive lineman who South Carolina could really use, a 6'6", 280-pound offensive tackle, if they rave about these visits, but then elect to go somewhere else. It's kind of a hollow feeling, if you will. That's great. We're glad you loved it here. We're glad that it felt like a family atmosphere, and that we were honest as coaches. And all that. You still got to land them. And, that's to your point a little bit, even when you get a commitment. Well, that's all it is right now. It's not like they put pen to paper and they're automatically going to be a Gamecock. We've already seen 1 decommitment so far for the Gamecocks in this recruiting class. I guess 2 if you want to count Gunnar Stockton as well. So, all that being said, yeah, I think it's positive. I think that if you're a South Carolina fan, you do like the momentum. They picked up another commitment yesterday, Javonte McClendon, a 6'2", 180-pound safety that has got a chance, again, to be a pretty good prospect. Picked them over some pretty good offers that he had a strong tie to Torian Gray. You've got to continue to land some of these guys. It looks like that they'll land at least one this coming weekend. Jamal Weiss, a defensive lineman out of the Florida, I think out of the Miami area. I can't exactly remember where he is from, but I know it's Florida. I can't remember if it's South Florida or where. But that's another prospect that it looks like that they're going to be able to land. 6'4", 255 pounds, has offers from Florida, Kentucky, Miami, Mississippi, kind of the big ones. We'll see if they're able to land him. He's going to make an announcement on Father's Day. He's out of Miami, Florida. Florida Christian is the high school. So they're getting some good players. Look, you get guys on campus, you get them interested. You need to have a good season. You know, all the facilities, they're beautiful, they're shiny, they're phenomenal. If you're going 3-9 or 4-8, that makes it really difficult to sell. And I know people still don't want to give Will Muschamp a whole bunch of credit. And look, I agree with it on the game day coaching. Where I was at this weekend, there was Clemson Tiger fans and South Carolina. I was one of the lone South Carolina fans, so I was kind of defending myself the entire time. Thank you, Jody Young. But the bottom line is, you've got to be able to land the prospects, right, Tim? It's nice to see all these great interviews where kids talk about the facilities and the family aspect and the environment and the coaches and first class this and first class that. You still have to be able to get the commitment and then secure the commitment, get them signed, get them onto campus, and then you got to land. Then you got to actually develop them. You know, that's the part that I think people forget about. You might have had the best quarterback coach to ever come through college football in Steve Spurrier. Connor Shaw wasn't an elite recruit. I think they beat out Georgia Tech and West Virginia for him. But Connor Shaw developed under Steve Spurrier. DJ Swearinger wasn't this elite level, going to all these all-star game type recruit. But he came in and he developed under Ellis Johnson and Lorenzo Ward and to a lesser extent Shane Beamer. And they developed him. Devin Taylor, another guy. Again, South Carolina beat out Virginia Tech. Devin Taylor was a mid-level 3-star guy that came in and turned into a really good player. And then you mix them in with the Lattimores and the Jeffries and the Gilmores and obviously the Clowneys. So there's a lot that goes into it. Certainly you like the vibe. You like the new car smell, the fresh smell that you've got here with Shane Beamer and not the dark cloud hanging over the program. But they're going to have to win football games, and you're going to have to get some of these big-time prospects to commit. There was another 4-star prospect on campus this weekend, Antonio Kite, who is a 4-star safety out of the state of Alabama, and he's a really good prospect. There's, you want him in your program. Alabama's probably going to pass on him because they can take better players. There's nothing wrong with that. Clemson passed on Brian Edwards, and I think people wouldn't complain that Brian Edwards, or people wouldn't argue that Brian Edwards didn't make South Carolina a better program at the time. Antonio Kite, Alabama's kind of passing on him right now. We'll see what Auburn does. And if both of them pass, they've got a chance to land him. And that's a kid who continues to raise the level of talent in your program. And that's what you've got to be able to do. You've got to get the commitments. You've got to win some football games to continue to sell, not a vision, but a reality.
Well, when you say if Auburn passes on him, then you have a chance, I don't think that's what people want to hear. I mean, they want to hear, oh, we can go into Alabama and take a kid that Auburn wants. And that's when you know you've kind of arrived, or you've made it.
I don't know if that's – but I understand what you're saying. But in the state of Alabama, that's – that's kind of like, for right now, more so with Clemson, saying that if for Jaden Lucas, the 5-star defensive back out of Malden High School, it's Ohio State, it's North Carolina, it's Clemson for him. It's if the kid wants to go to Clemson, if Clemson's going to push for him, that's probably where he's going to go. They've got that kind of pool, and Auburn and Alabama are the same way. It's really hard to get a kid out of the state of Alabama that Auburn or Alabama wants. There's strong ties to want to play at those stadiums. They're SEC schools. They're schools that win a lot of football games. Same thing with Georgia. You can go after highly thought of Georgia kids, and it's tough to pull them away at times. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's never happened before. But that's part of it. And, yeah, Patrick, right now, there is some of that. South Carolina has been the last 2 great receivers for South Carolina are products that made – I realize to say made South Carolina better, it's hard to say anybody made South Carolina better when they go 2-8. But let's be honest, the last 2 really good receivers, Brian Edwards and Shi Smith, are products of Clemson being able to go out and recruit national prospects. That doesn't mean Shi Smith and Brian Edwards were bad prospects, right? Like, good Lord, I don't know if South Carolina has a passing game this year without Shi Smith. And Brian Edwards is left school with a ton of records and has been a upstanding citizen for the university as a whole, as a guy that I think everybody's very proud of. But let's be honest, that's where the programs are. That's what you have to be honest about these programs right now. That's where they're at. Yeah, you can go land a Jordan Birch or a Zach Pickens and win a couple of those battles, but sometimes you need top 10 teams to pass on some elite prospects that quite frankly, help improve your program.
Well, and some of those guys too, Bill, could get offers, just not be a priority and not feel like the love is there. Like I'm reading Javante McClendon, the one Carolina commit from the weekend, and he's from the Lakeland, Florida area, but on his list of offers was Auburn and Florida State. But I'm guessing it was a priority thing that he felt at South Carolina, and maybe the connection with Torian Gray, having been from the state of Florida and the whole thing. Oklahoma and Penn State, I mean, also on the list there. How and that's when you get into what committable offers and the whole thing. I don't know how you translate that. That's more your area of expertise there with Javante McClendon specifically here.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Look, South Carolina, I don't think they have the talent to go out and win 8 games. I do think that they're better than what the ESPN projection is. I think it's 3.5 or 4.5. 6-7 wins seems about right to me when we're talking about South Carolina this year because of what I base Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky to be, plus the 3 non-conference games. So, we'll see where South Carolina can get to there. But you do have to continue to upgrade the talent. Javante McClendon's a start in that direction. Braden Davis is a start there at quarterback. We'll see what they're able to do. Ryan Brubaker, again, is the name I've mentioned multiple times this morning, who's a very good offensive lineman who Penn State wants. South Carolina's in on some really good prospects. I'm impressed by that early on with Shane Beamer, given some of the lack of knowledge about what this program is going to look like under him. They've been able to get some really good prospects on campus. You've got to land some of them. It's great that they're here. It's something that you can brag about, but you've got to land some of them to really be able to puff your chest out. Then you got to hold on to them. You got to be able to hold on to them. You got to be able to get them to sign in December and get them on campus and then develop them into even better players.
Richard on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, interesting feedback. He says, took my twin sons to Beamer's camp this past Friday. It was great, different atmosphere from when Will Muschamp ran it and when we went after their 8th grade year. Got more of a Clemson family vibe, and my kids said afterwards they consider Carolina now because it was a different feel. Certainly is being portrayed, I think, differently, Bill, on social media. Just what you would expect from a different coaching staff, obviously, that you're going to have a different feel and a different vibe and the whole thing. I think the difficult part for Gamecock fans will be after having seen the Will Muschamp era, a guy who came in with a really good reputation for recruiting in the SEC, and a really good staff of recruiters that had SEC, plenty of pedigree in the SEC, to now have a guy who's never been a head coach before in Shane Beamer, and a staff that's largely not been in the SEC and been through these recruiting battles before. I think Justin Stepp's probably the exception there, coming from Arkansas and having a really good reputation as an up-and-coming assistant coach in the SEC. But the other guys coming from different places, I think that's where that's what I'm hearing from you is you're going to have to see some of these guys win some of these recruiting battles before I think you're allowing yourself to evaluate this staff maybe like the Will Muschamp staff came in. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll see. They've got to develop. And that's part of it is coaching. You've got to be able to develop players in your system. And that's why I kind of go back to that Steve Spurrier era, guys like Shaq Wilson and Byron Jerideau, even an Antonio Allen, developing along the way. Deebo Samuel, again, I guess you'd say maybe develop. I don't know how we would label Deebo Samuel because he wasn't exactly, again, a big-time recruit that comes in and turns into the player that he did. Ace Sanders is a good example of that, Florida State passing on him. So you need guys that can develop. You need guys, when I say guys, you need coaches that can develop talent, that can identify players, and we'll see if this staff is able to do that. But it is nice to get a little bit of buzz to have some bigger names on your campus. To me, it just comes down to a matter of now getting commitments from them to get people excited.
Yeah, because we get so, I guess, bogged down in we're in our own little world here looking at all the buzz on South Carolina Twitter, but then if you just go on other schools' Twitter accounts and feeds, everyone has buzz this time of year. Like, I was following Maryland just opened up a $149 million football facility that's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I know South Carolina's Shane Beamer's talked about, we're going to go into the DMV and we're going to take all these kids and kids from Maryland and D.C. and Virginia are coming down to South Carolina. We're saying, what a great visit, what a great time. And I mean, in the same area, they're like, look, we have SEC caliber facilities. Maryland's not going to be outmatched in any level of facility. So, I mean, like, expectations are high there, vibes are high there. So it's just, we get so obsessed with our own little bubble that we don't realize that, like, everyone else has the same perspective too. Everyone at Tennessee thinks they're going to get all these kids, and everyone in Georgia thinks the same deal. And it's a big world. There's a lot of kids out there.
Yeah, and that's why it's difficult for me to figure out exactly how to digest, I think is the right word, the reaction that you see, and then where South Carolina fits in, because the last thing you want to do is finish second in recruiting, right? It's like poker. Well, that's the last thing you want to do, is have the second best hand or finish second and have a really good run and not quite pull a guy. It all comes down to the results in the end, and that's something that we can't know about this new coaching staff at this point. We do start to see a picture get clearer and clearer, though. And Bill, I guess my question for you then is, what kind of numbers do you think need to continue to add to the commitment list for Shane Beamer to build this particular class? And then can we even evaluate that accurately, knowing that college football is now changed forever with the one-time transfer rule, and Shane Beamer and everybody in college football dealing with recruiting in a different kind of way because of that transfer rule that is in effect?
You know, the one thing when you talk about the transfer rule, the interesting conversation I had last week is now kids going junior college, and how much the transfer portal could impact recruiting junior college kids. I think that's going to be very interesting. South Carolina yesterday had a defensive back recruit. I have to go back. He's a transfer from Kansas. I think he'll end up going to Ohio State is where I think he'll end up going. But I want to say it's Katron Pertney, I believe is how you say his name. I'll have to go back and look. I was actually surprised that he ended up on South Carolina's campus. I think it was surprised a lot of people. All of a sudden he put out like an Instagram story or something like that. But with all that being said, you know, it's a lot easier. I think it's going to be a lot easier to hit the transfer portal and look for guys with college experience than to either take a junior college prospect or to go after, and I this is going to sound very negative, but I do look at it with the star rankings and everything, than to take a prospect who you might look on as a guy that needs 2 or 3 years to develop. Does that make sense? Whether a guy comes from Georgia State or from Georgia Southern or whatever, at least they've been in a college program for 2 or 3 years and a little bit more mature. Maybe you can get them for 2 or 3 years and they can help. I think that's where the transfer portal becomes so interesting, is now you can almost maybe shoot a little bit higher than you typically would, and you hope to land some of those guys. And if you end up with some extra scholarships after signing day, you're basically holding them going, all right, let's see what happens now with the transfer portal after January 1. And this was part of the weird conversation that I had that I didn't really think about. You might elect to sign 15 guys in your recruiting class. And let's say you got room for 25. You say, all right, well, we're just going to take these 15 guys. Well, now we're going to wait until after January 1, which would be the second signing period. And instead of focusing on the high school kids that are still remaining, you go, okay, we're going to take these 10 other scholarships and we're going to see who's available in the transfer portal that we might want to add as immediate help for next year. It's really an interesting situation with how it could change recruiting.
803-404-6100 is the number into the program. Love to hear your thoughts as well. Again, more NCAA college baseball talk with a couple of super regionals yet to be determined. 6 teams already cashing tickets to the College World Series. Our buddy John wanted to make sure that we mentioned that Texas is one of them, having no problem with South Florida over the weekend. Also, the scary scene on the soccer field that Patrick will help put in perspective, and then the slight NFL news from one of the more curious characters that we've seen in the last few years, all on the way. It's the early game here. It's 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer.
I'm a person, and we're going to get started day.
That's right. football season, not that far away. Of course, the other thing that comes with football season, as I'm sure you all are aware of, is heat. That's right. It's going to be hot. That opening game, that opening weekend, probably not going to be the ideal temperature for hanging out. But you know what? Inside, if your air conditioner is working, that's perfect. And you need to call AAA Heating and Air right now. 803-677-1500. Get them out to your house. Have them inspect your air conditioning unit. Again, we haven't hit the awful part of summer just yet, but you know it's just around the corner. 4th of July is coming. You know it's going to be extra hot this summer. Humidity is going to be up. Temperatures near 100. Is your air conditioner working properly? If it's not, if you need something replaced, if you need something worked on, now is the time to give AAA Heating and Air a call. 803-677-1500. If your heating and air unit needs to be replaced, then you start thinking, man, it's going to cost money. This is not good. We're trying to have a family vacation. Don't worry about it. This is where Roy and Dana Finley are going to treat you like a family member. They're going to make sure you're taken care of. What they'll do, if it has to be replaced, they'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to take away your old unit. Then they'll work with you. 0% financing, no money down to help get you a new unit. On top of that, you get a 15-year parts and warranty labor guarantee. I'm telling you what, AAA Heating and Air, they look out for you. They treat you like a family member. That's why I use them to take care of me and the 2 kids. I want the kids to be comfortable here with the air conditioner during the summer. I want to be comfortable when I come in off the lake. 803-677-1500. Give AAA Heating and Air a call today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Leaving you guys hung out to dry.
Yeah, just
texting you got going there.
How was it, Alan? How was the Palmetto Championship? And that's right, York, the other Spurs up, according to Hale McGranahan, is not going to announce until next weekend.
Yeah, he put some good pictures on his little Instagram channel. And if you're on Twitter, you can go through the station handle to get there to check those things out. Look pretty sweet.
Was he down there as media, or did he just go down there to kind of walk around, hang out?
Don't know. Didn't talk to him afterwards. Just talked to him before.
Gotcha.
There's not that much difference.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I just didn't know.
It's not like Heath is going to throw down if he's there as a fan as opposed to the media credential. Might be a little different.
Patrick, did you say something about loading up on 3-star diamond in the rough prospects?
I think our guy got it confused of just how I don't even think Patrick was talking during that segment. I think it was me going back and just Patrick, you're on mute.
I think it's just when I said temper expectations because everyone around the country is talking the same way South Carolina is.
Okay,
I didn't know. He took that as I don't think South Carolina is going to land any good players.
He just hears me talking and then just agrees with it sometimes, or
no, anytime I think he said thought that I was agreeing with him a couple times when I said let's just pump the brakes a slight bit. That means I don't think we're going to get any good players.
Yeah,
that's how he translates that.
That's an interesting guy too, because I don't feel like he's trolling. I feel like that's his genuine life, and I just feel bad for him. I just genuinely feel bad. Why is Jay-Z on an investors conference for Robinhood?
I mean, why wouldn't he be? Oh, Allen was working it. Nice.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is that 12.1 and 12.2 on the stent meter? What did it say?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. I play golf. I'm not even sure what that means. I think it just means it's fast. Alan, much more of an expert on that than we are.
What's flagged there?
At your own risk there, Trey. Shen, thanks for hooking up Teddy D, TD2 and TD3 with their interview.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yeah, he seemed pleased. That's well, that can be the start of his media portfolio.
Where did that come from, Trey? That was a random question. What you got, Patrick? What's your walk-in music? Warm-up music.
This is as you're running out to the field?
Right. You get a little bit longer here than the walk-up music when you're the batter.
It would be Halftime by the Yin Yang Twins.
Let's hear a little bit of it.
It's electric. It's like a horn at the beginning.
No, you can't play it. I'm saying, from you got to give us a little bit of it.
My mouth can't do it. It's not words.
Let's hear the beat. You can do the beat, right?
Yeah, I can.
No, don't play it. You got to do it yourself. You can't play it.
No.
Let's hear it.
Disappointed he's not going to walk up to Wild then. But okay.
This is it.
No, don't play it, dude. See, that's not that hard to do. You could just say, you don't have to play it. Come on.
If you like some good horns, I've got a tune for you.
That's what I come out to. That'd be electric.
Pretty good. Electric. Any of those coming.
All right, heading back in.
Okay, that makes sense then. Nice.
The Black Sails theme. What is the Black Sails theme? Is it a song that they use, or they made it for that show?
Wow, Alan. That's crazy to me.
You guys ready?
Not sure what this means exactly. Building a roster is a quick fix to building a foundation on sand. I hope Beamer doesn't go that route. That's from Ted on the heating your text line at 803-404-6100. I guess maybe what he's saying is on transfers or junior college guys or whatever. I think the interesting part about this is that we from the outside are all looking at this, I think, with how we've always looked at it. I don't think we've been able to change our mindset because we haven't seen it play out on the field in the new era of college football and the free agency era. I think we're going to start seeing that this year. I mean, we'll see if Jordan Strong can translate his Georgia State success from the SEC perspective. But, Bill, doesn't everyone who has followed recruiting have to shift their mindset just based on what the reality is now, that it's not just junior college guys that can come in and play immediately. It's not just freshmen or prep school guys now. It's guys that you played against that can come in now and transfer over. And it is college free agency, and we haven't seen it before. And I think programs, I don't think there's a program in the country, let's put it this way, that will not adjust because of the current climate. If you're just going to recruit like you've always recruited, then you're not taking advantage of the resources that are out there. You disagree?
No, I think it took me a while to figure. This was a couple weeks ago, but I understood after kind of reading it multiple times a Jeff Goodman tweet. He was being very sarcastic, and it was in reference to basketball this year. But this is across the board, right? So think about this as across the board, and he was referencing Tennessee Martin going to play Tennessee, and basically his tweet said that Tennessee Martin has agreed to an in-person evaluation for Tennessee of its players, and that while they aren't worried about anything nefarious during the game, they will be keeping close eyes on the pre-game layup line and post-game handshake line to make sure nothing happens. And think about this for a second, because this is interesting. If you're, and I'm going to use South Carolina and let's use East Carolina for an example, and pick two programs this year that you want. South Carolina plays East Carolina, and one of the defensive linemen or offensive linemen or somebody has a really big game, right? All of a sudden, if you're South Carolina, you watch that guy have a really big game, you think, man, we can really kind of use that guy. Maybe I don't, and he goes on to have a really good season. You've had an in-person evaluation. And the one rule that I don't like, the one rule that I'm really against, and I've seen the ACC and SEC already allow it, is inter-conference transfer rules. And I don't like that because it is every game now becomes some kind of in-person evaluation. If you're Alabama,
well, let me go one step further, Bill. I hear where you're going here, but as you're watching film preparing for your game, you're also basically watching recruiting film too, right? It's not just the one game that you're going to see them play in person. It is that's an extra one, but you're watching 5, 10, 15, 20 games on tape, right? And evaluating these guys more accurately, I think, than just that one game in person. Yeah. You got to remember that's stockpiled as well.
Look at Georgia this year. I mean, Georgia's got 4 players that are going to be huge contributors. In their secondary, they got Tyke Smith from West Virginia. They've got Darian Kendrick from Clemson. They're going to have Eric Gilbert from LSU, and their quarterback is from Southern Cal. Like, those are 4 of the best programs in college football, and you're pulling kids from there. I mean, it's not just grabbing a kid from East Carolina or a lower level school.
Well, but I mean, for the lower level schools now, this becomes a bit of a problem. We've seen it
massive problem.
It's going to be impossible.
Right. But you're right. But I'll say this: in the recruiting game, coaches go to high schools, and you might not have recruited a kid specifically. Maybe that kid you didn't recruit specifically for your program, but I can almost guarantee that the assistant coach or the head coach that goes into that high school has a relationship with that high school coach. And don't think for a second that assistant coach is saying, boy, player X looks really good for so-and-so this year. If they enter the transfer portal, I'd be willing to bet there's a scholarship available. Where, you sell it kind of in that manner. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing about this transfer portal. And it's look, we're talking about it in football terms, and I was referencing the Jeff Goodman tweet, but that's across the board as well. That's across the board for South Carolina, for Clemson, for whatever. You go play a team and you see a kid and you think, man, that kid could really help us. We all know kind of that's how it works. Now, let's be perfectly clear, because Mark says that on the live stream says the transfer portal will most likely make the Bamas and the OSUs of the world, Ohio States of the world, that much better. Maybe, but they're recruiting at such a high level that they're not going to have to be as dependent upon transfers to come in and fill their rosters. They're not better.
How are they going to get better? They're going to have 7 first-round picks instead of 6.
Yeah,
I mean, LSU had 14 dudes drafted 2 years ago. They're going to have 24 guys drafted. How much better can they possibly get?
Yeah, you're just saying that and again, most good players are probably going to stick with their program. I do see it as being a bigger issue for lower level schools, because if you do open up the college football playoff system, which I think we will, now you at least open the door to a non-Power 5 school getting in, and then that's something that sells. I was going to Pinehurst on Friday. We were listening to Dan Patrick, and I think he had Rick Neuheisel on. I kept referring to him as Rick, and they were talking college football, so that's the only one I could come up with. But Neuheisel made a good point. He says, it's not a fair a system, not a fair system when half of the schools, and we're talking about the current college football playoff, the current 14 playoff, when basically half of the schools, the non-power fives, start the season basically with 0% chance to win a national championship. And if you think about that, if you're a really good player, Mackenzie Milton or somebody at Central Florida, you go, yeah, maybe we can make it in, but I'm a really good quarterback at this school. What if and I know Mackenzie Milton transferred because of injury. He lost his job to Dylan Gabriel. But who's to say you don't see more of that? The transfer portal thing is very interesting to keep an eye on because, again, what I see is it taking away from kids with that are marginal that normally you would have taken to develop. And instead you can save 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know, whatever you feel your roster needs and go hit the transfer portal after the December signing day.
Well, this was exactly what you were talking about which prospect in Alabama, Bill? Because Mark just hit us up. Right, a guy that South Carolina is very much interested in, and you said, well, if Alabama or Auburn wants him, they're probably going to stay in state at Alabama. Mark says if a program like Alabama or Ohio State has a weakness, they'll be able to fill those gaps through the transfer portal in addition to all the players they already recruited. But that math didn't work out, Mark. You can only have 25 new guys in the program. You only have a certain amount of scholarships. And either you're going to get them like you've always gotten them in high school, or you're going to get them through the transfer portal. You only have so many numbers. And that's why, Bill, I asked you about, all right, South Carolina right now has 5 guys committed. What's a reasonable number to see maybe even in the next couple of weeks or at the end of July that Shane Beamer will need to be on track to have a good class? And I think it's nearly impossible to determine that this year as opposed to in years past because of the transfer portal and because especially where his program's at, in that his safer play is to go the transfer market instead of having to reach for guys that you're talking about that might have to develop, that South Carolina has done in the past maybe when transfers just weren't available. They'd have to sit out a year and it just the market wasn't the same. The market's changed.
Yeah, a lot of schools can be a little bit more selective now in taking commitments, if a kid wants to commit or not. Because if you're not sure on that kid, maybe in the past you took him and then you had that conversation or the things that we saw. What was the running back, I believe it was from Dutch Fork, that ended up at Wake Forest? I forget his name. Originally was going to go play for Bobby Petrino in Louisville, and they called him like at the last minute, like, hey, sorry, we don't have a scholarship for you. I'm sure somebody out there.
Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll get his name just in seconds. Sorry if you're yelling at the radio.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Matt Colbert.
Matt Colbert, thank you. And so you can wait on that kid and tell him, hey, wait to the end, because if I'm South, and again, this is different. We're talking different schools. Okay, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia doesn't have to necessarily do it. Obviously, as Patrick just pointed out, they took some high-level recruits. But now, instead of trying to sign your full class in the first 25 on December, whatever, the middle of December, maybe you leave 8 or 9 spots open. And you leave those 8 or 9 spots open not just for the second signing day, but all the way through June, because now you see South Carolina in on a few other defensive backs. Like you can leave 4 or 5 spots open now past spring ball, and you can evaluate spring ball and say, boy, these guys are, some of these 2 or 3 guys are not developing at this position. We've got to go find a few more guys in the transfer portal that can help us out and bring them in. It will change how schools elect to recruit and what they elect to sign in that early signing period.
And I think it will help us gauge reality, the actual way that these coaches feel about their signing class, their recruits, based on the numbers and when they come in. Does that make sense, Bill? If you're seeing 10 scholarships left open, you're getting an admission from a coaching staff that, hey, we need more help now, and we need it from the transfer portal. We don't think the guys that we could have gotten committed to those 10 scholarships are good enough to help us immediately or exactly what we need. We know we need to be aggressive out there in the transfer portal. That's where I get, though, concerned about things get messy real quick about these aggressive coaching staffs going after guys that are already on campuses.
Well, but don't blame. I'm not going to blame the coaches, or not going to blame all of them, because here's the thing: the college football society, college basketball, kind of as well. It's a win now mentality. There's coaches now who, if you took a kid this year that you know is going to take 3 years to develop, but maybe by his senior year he's ready to really contribute. As a coach, you have 3 bad years, you may not get that. You know, I mean, it took a lot of crazy things for Will Muschamp. I shouldn't say crazy, but we know how it was after was it year 4 for Muschamp? He almost didn't get to see his first full. Randrakis Davis is still at this school, and I think he was one of the first guys signed. He outlasted his coach. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that a coach would get 5 years or get a full recruiting cycle. You don't get that. What did Chad Morris get, Tim? 3?
Just 2, I believe. Didn't win an SEC game and got shown the door. I believe that's what his career in Arkansas was. But as you were talking there, Bill, those mid-major programs might actually improve some in their recruiting because these prospects that other big Power 5 schools might not take a chance on might fall to them, and then it becomes a matter of loyalty and how much loyalty can you inspire in these guys after having developed them. We've seen in college basketball there is very little. I don't know if that's going to change now that we're going to just see much more of this opportunity for guys to hop to a big-time program. I think we'll see probably varying success, right? Some guys it'll pay off for, some guys will get lost in the mix, and maybe the value of staying where you were developed, even though you don't get as bright a spotlight.
Let's ask our draft guru, Patrick. I've already forgotten his name. The young man who transferred from, I believe, North Dakota State to LSU, the linebacker last year. Jabril Cox. Where did he go in the draft this year?
Top. I think it was a second rounder. He went to the Cowboys. I believe it was in the second round.
What is
after Trey Lance, right?
In your opinion, if he stays at North Dakota State and they have a season, let's pretend for a second they have a season, and he has a decent season, do you think he's still a second rounder, or do you think that move to LSU enhanced him by, say, a round or 2?
I think it might have enhanced him a little bit, just because it's an unknown. But that's what I was wondering. Like, our coach is going to be cheering against their players. Like, does Sean Elliott secretly want Jordan Strachan to not have a good year so he can look at his kids and say, look, led the nation in sacks at Georgia State. Could have just stayed and led the nation in sacks 2 years in a row and gotten drafted, and look what he did. He went up a level, didn't play as well, and now he's a 7th round pick and going to be fighting to make a roster. Like, will coaches genuinely be cheering against kids that they recruited and liked, and for the sake of their program have to root against their former players? Probably.
Yeah, it's a whole new world in a lot of ways, for sure, and we're seeing it develop and evolve right before our eyes. But I don't know if we can grasp how it is developing, and I think it'll probably be a little bit different for different programs. Shane Beamer and company are kind of certainly the first experiment that Gamecock fans get to see, how they handle it, how they are handling it right now. It's going to be fascinating to watch for sure. Got any final thoughts? Love to hear them at 803-404-6100. You can call or text. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Your 24/7 sports station. I'm feeling pretty good.
Timing. We talked about it all morning long. We talk about it almost every single day to some degree. Right now, the housing market timing is fantastic in a lot of ways, and Buford Lending wants to help you out no matter your situation. If you're maybe like me and you're looking to expand, you got a growing family, you need a new house. If you're looking to refinance, the numbers right now are absolutely fantastic when it comes to the interest rates being in the 2s in a lot of cases. If you're looking for a second home, maybe you're looking for a VA loan, you're looking for conventional construction, renovation, whatever it is you're looking for, Buford Lending has the experience to get you the best deal out there. Give Benji Getzy and his team a call, 843-524-2404. They've got 25 years experience in the mortgage industry, and because of that experience, Benji is just asking you to explore your options with him. He thinks he can get you the best deal out there, and he encourages you to compare his work to others because he has the confidence that the numbers will be favorable for Buford Lending. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the numbers that I've seen with Buford Lending, absolutely fantastic and a little mind-boggling, to be honest with you. Let Benji Getsy do that for you. Again, it's Buford Lindy, 843-524-2404. Glad we didn't end up going down the shocking or gruesome injury path.
No, what?
I'm just glad we didn't go that soccer path, and
Oh, yeah.
just not a way to feel good about that conversation, I don't think.
Nah. The guy just put out a statement.
What's that?
The guy just put out a statement.
Oh yeah, the soccer player.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I'm good, basically.
Yeah, it was very short. Thank you. I won't give up. I feel better now, but want to understand what's happened to me. I want to say thank you for all you did for me.
I mean,
I would want to understand too.
literally saved the guy's life.
Thank you, Don, for mentioning the SRS series. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw you put out the pace car for that. Was that the race for the pace car?
Yeah, that was sweet. It was pretty cool. But it was good racing, you have all like cars, and then you get a bunch of drivers of different disciplines, all different ages. And is it the driver or is it the car? And ended up they for 6 weeks they're going to do this Saturday nights under the lights at different local tracks. And this at every track they're going to have a local hero, and basically somebody who's really strong at that track from like short track racing. And it ended up that guy is the one who won Saturday. He beat Elliott Nevis, Bill Elliott, Tony Stewart, Tony Kanaan. I mean, it was fun. It was fun racing. I know all your ears just went numb, but it was pretty cool.
I'm listening. I'm just currently battling the ants, which clearly have. I think they are in this chair next to me. So I don't know if I should take the chair apart.
Or at least get it outside.
That'd be awesome, Hope. You get the family birthday. We have that in my family a little bit. My niece born on my father's birthday. My sister was born on my grandmother's birthday. Pretty cool when that happens.
It is. My son was born on my grandma's birthday, the only grandma I ever knew. So that was kind of cool.
I was talking yesterday. We figured out we each got married on the exact same day. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty crazy.
All right. We'll be heading back in. Yeah, probably going into the closed bed.
Sounds right. Patrick, a good time to slip in that release from the soccer player.
Yeah.
I'll set you up for that. Bill, I'll ask you what we figured out with football recruiting.
All righty.
And all within 60 seconds.
All in 60 seconds.
You guys are up.
2 more Super Regional games today before the entire College World Series set. 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Columbia up first in the Starkville, Mississippi State Notre Dame Regional. Patrick, you said just the soccer guy who had the scary situation yesterday just released a statement.
Yeah, it's a statement to an Italian newspaper from his agent that just said, "Thank you, I won't give up. I feel better now, but I want to understand what's happened to me. I want to say thank you for all you did for me."
Apparently gone because of a heart issue, and then a defibrillator brought him back, and I'm glad there's a happy ending to that. Bill, speaking of happy endings, did we figure anything out about Gamecock football recruiting and what's happening here in the last couple of weeks?
Just positive momentum, but nothing figured out today. We'll continue to watch this month. Another big weekend of visits in 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes.
Well, good thing we got a show to do every day. Thanks for listening to the Monday edition of the Early Game here on 107.5 The Game. The Dan Patrick Show coming up next.
WNKTFM.
Oh, almost sounded like professional.
What'd you say
radio.
again? I bet he is. And some wise advice on the text line about dealing with the ants.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm not stepping on them. I'm not stepping on them. I took a soapy rag and wiped down the floor where they were at.
We need to share the advice to everybody. If you're stepping on or killing ants, you're just making it worse. When you squash them, they release a pheromone that says to their fellow ants, quote, "I'm under attack. Send reinforcements."
Interesting.
Well done, Clinton.
Well, I took a rag with dishwashing liquid or whatever, and wiped down the floor, hoping that would solve the issue.
Thanks, DC. Good luck. Hope to you and your daughter and your new granddaughter. That would be awesome if that happens today. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll do it again tomorrow. Or thanks for watching, not just listening. Huh? And that I learned cradling. Nice work, Patrick.
Cradling. Right.